across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, thank you very much indeed. A very warm welcome to James Whale Unleashed. Everybody else seems to be picking up the Unleashed title. I have no idea why.
I know.
I'm wearing... I look pale. Well, how do I know you're talking about it? You look so pale.
Well, that's because I'm normally really dark, but, you know...
That's how he is. He never does anything.
A bit pasty-faced.
So anyway, welcome. Chuck, your producer, sit there, stop eating peanuts and concentrate on the programme. Good evening, all of you, my friends.
They're good
evening.
for the prostate.
If you've never listened to this programme or watched this programme, we are simultaneously broadcasting on TV and radio. This is Ash, who I've had with me, and I have no idea
I'm
why
Max, and when we
I've
met,
had him with
it was
me.
Moida.
It was 25 years ago, I think we've been
30
doing this
years
show.
ago,
Is it
actually.
30 years ago?
It's gone like that, hasn't it? Yeah.
And if you've never listened or watched before, then let me just say this, because I really get fed up with Ofcom. If you are easily triggered and easily fed up, then this is, or easily insulted or easily, this is not
Triggered.
the programme for you. Don't watch or listen to us. But if you like this sort of thing, get in touch. Let's do phone calls right at the beginning. Let's get some.
Yeah,
We're
man.
going to talk to Ben Habib in a bit. Ben has been on every flipping channel today. Every time I've turned the TV or the radio on, Ben has been there. So we're going to talk about that. And we're also later going to talk about this fact. Apparently, according to Elon Musk's dad, Errol, apparently Michelle Obama was born a man. Now, I don't know whether that's true.
No, but we've seen the evidence, and it is compelling.
Yeah. We will do it. Now, if you want to call, here's the number, 0344...
499.
Hang on, write this down so you know that it's got
right,
for
yeah.
people watching and listening. 0344.
You slow down a bit, please.
Have you got the 0344?
0, yeah.
499.
499.
Can you do it a bit faster or not?
No. I'm
1,000.
Really trying hard.
That's 1000.
How many zeros is 1,000?
3.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, you'd never get to 1,000 in anything. OK, so if you want to ring that number, ring it now, because now is a good time to get on the show. And we'll have a little chat. Somebody could adjust our email content. That would be great.
We learned how to do that last week.
Yeah,
Let's
I've
see
forgotten.
if it worked.
Have you forgotten?
Yeah, you clicked something, didn't you?
Yeah, but you can click
Pass
something.
me the moose.
Yeah.
We don't take email.
Do we not do emails?
Fax, though. Give us a fax.
No, we don't do fax. That went out years
right.
ago. We do text messages.
And WhatsApp answer machine
and
messages.
WhatsApp answer machine messages.
Yeah, there we go. Look.
Yeah. All right. Okay, there we are. Good. And I've got to just say this as well. Am I the only person who's got the guts to say, I think Trump is doing a frigging fantastic job? Trump is really doing an amazing job. And you lefty, lily-livered, liberally prats, of which we do have a lot working in our control rooms on this station. And I know he did. I know he did. And don't think, by the way, and I'm looking at you over his shoulder, I know all your political views, by the way. I just keep them quiet until you annoy me, and then all hell will be let loose. And I am HR, diversity. I'm in charge of all of those things on this show.
Yeah.
Okay?
It all goes through us.
It all goes through us. Yeah. Trump, great. And he is going to bring peace to the world. And there is apparently a rumour, and I'm not sure whether it's a rumour, so how do we know?
It's probably true, then.
But apparently some of the money and some of the equipment that America in particular, I think some of us, has sent to Ukraine has gone missing.
$100 billion has gone missing.
Well, it can't be that much. How can you...
Yeah, 100. Well, they've sent billions and billions, haven't they? And what's his name? Zelensky. He's now a billionaire. You don't get that from being a comedian.
I just wish he'd wear a jacket.
Well, he's trying to be Churchill. Do you remember Churchill wore that sort of boiler suit? He's not a Churchill.
So anyway, if you're a Trump fan, let me know why, and I will try to re-educate you as well as I can. 03444991,000 is our number. Janice, you are our first caller tonight. Sorry I've kept you waiting for a while, I know.
Oh, no worry. I hope you're well, James. It's been a few weeks since I spoke to you.
Well, I'm not going to do the whole show tonight because I'm not 100% well, but just a little bit. I'm still here.
It's good. We're the same colour actually tonight.
Well, I'm just about here as well. So
Good.
we're both on the same step. I would like to ask two questions. Firstly, I'm halfway with Trump. I'm not whole way. I'm halfway. I thought he was going to absolutely come in and sort everything out. I'm a bit iffy with it, but I want to ask you a question. Do you think there are going to be marches tomorrow after what I saw yesterday of what Hamas did? It was disgusting.
Well, if they do these so-called peace marches tomorrow, then they are incredibly facile and stupid.
Well, they're full of hate marches.
You know, they're not peace marches, they're hate marches.
They'll be out there.
Yeah, they are.
The way that those two babies, and if people don't know the story, we've been reporting on it here on Talk Radio, TV
I can't get you at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, but I know.
Why can't you get us at the moment?
Because I haven't got internet and my phone's busted.
So you can't listen or look?
No, I'm so grateful that you take my calls.
Have you got a DAB digital radio?
I'm going to put you back to the engineers and they'll get you on somehow, okay?
Can't. Oh, well, that'd be wonderful. But can I ask you one other thing, please?
Go on then.
I've just heard that all supermarket meat is halal. Well, I don't want halal.
Well, you
meat.
don't listen. Why do you listen to rubbish?
I don't listen to others because I haven't got a lot to choose from.
She listens to us.
Or she listens to us, and you've never heard that here.
Well, I would, but I haven't got dad radio.
Janice.
Well, I miss you guys. I miss you
well,
guys.
do something about it, Janice. You ring in and say you can't listen and you can't look.
Go to a kosher butcher's.
Heating, no hot water. I'm a poor old pensioner, mate.
Well, there are lots of poor old pensioners, Karen, out there who manage
Some are
to
eating
get...
dog food. I mean, it's actually true.
Really?
So
food
apparently it's
is-
very nutritious.
Dog food is more expensive.
Yeah, and it's apparently all right for human consumption.
Well,
I mean,
cool.
don't take my word.
it is.
Apparently it's delicious with the
Janice,
jelly.
I've got a cat.
Janice, hold on. And somebody
of
talk to
Winnerlock
Janice,
mixer.
but look, I'm not a hard-hearted person. But what is the point of talking to somebody who's not showing up on my ratings on
true,
TV and radio? I'm not here
No
as
really point even you phoning us.
That's the BBC. Call the And how have the BBC embarrassed themselves over this Hamas
They've taken it down
documentary?
now, finally. It took about 5 days, though, this biased documentary that they apparently didn't know anything
And the other
about.
thing apparently I get into trouble for is often saying, what is the point of being a Liberal Democrat?
Well, yeah. The BBC should be charged with terrorism because they are now. It's ridiculous. They're supporting a terrorist group. They're their PR arm of Hamas.
Now, Reform UK's former deputy leader Ben Habib is still not a Democrat. He said it's still not a Democratic party. He says Nigel Farage still controls the new company and has still not been registered as a political party. Ben, good evening to you. I've seen you on as much media today as you can get on. And I want to...
I'm very, very sorry about that.
No. You're popular at the moment. Everybody wants you.
Yeah.
But I've known you a while. I have known Nigel for 30 years. You might not know this, but I was asked to be the UKIP candidate for London Mayor when it first happened. When who became the first mayor?
Well, it's Boris,
What was
wasn't
it?
it Boris?
Ken Livingstone. No,
Ken
Ken
Livingstone,
Livingstone.
Was it during that time?
Yeah, Ken Livingstone. And I remember going to an ITN interview once, and my wife said to me, "Do you know they're taking you seriously?" Because I thought it was a bit of a joke. So
And he shut himself and withdrew immediately.
mind. I withdrew because
that's
I wouldn't be
better.
able to carry on doing this. But the problem is, look, he is setting this up as a political party. And I know it's not quick enough for you, but Ben...
Oh, no. Hold on. He's taken some very positive steps. Absolutely. He has given up control personally of the company that was limited by shares, in which he owned 60% of the of shares, to another company called Reform 2025 Limited, which is a company limited by guarantee, which gives them the ability to open up ownership effectively to the membership of Reform. So the prerequisite steps to democratize the party from an ownership perspective have taken place. The only issue I had today, which seems to have got people's imagination, which I suppose is a good thing, is that Nigel was on air earlier this morning on GB News saying that actually the democratization had taken place. And it hasn't. Some very significant steps in that direction have taken place. But before you can claim it's democratized, you've actually got to then hand over ownership to the members.
It's on its way. Either it has been or it hasn't been. That's a point, yes, needs to be cleared up, and I'm sure will be. But as a man, I like you, Ben, and as I say, I've known Nigel for a long, long time. And I want to bring you both back together. How can I do this?
So, you know, it's really interesting. People tend to look at politics through a personal lens. You know, you were saying earlier about Trump fans and so on. I think one of the drawbacks with politics is that we sort of endow individuals with this great sort of propensity and hope that they will save us. What we need to really stop doing, I think, is putting people on pedestals and worshipping them, and we need to look at what they're saying. And I agree with you about Trump, by the way. What he says often is stuff that I think, oh my God, I couldn't possibly say that. But what he's doing is phenomenal. You know, Trump has been fantastic, and I want to see the same from Nigel. I want to see Nigel. I don't really mind how Nigel expresses himself. I want to see what he says in substance. What is reform doing? What are its policies? And I think if we can disconnect the sort of persona from politics, what are you two up to? You're not even listening to me.
Don't the best leaders have an individual like Churchill, Thatcher?
Honestly, Ben, we are listening.
You know, the best leaders are sort of individuals on pedestals. Thatcher, Churchill.
Yeah, but I think, you know,
Trump.
I think we've got to be careful of that, because you know, the policies and the actions.
Ben, I listened to everything you said. I did take it in. And what it comes across, and it may be, you know, you've got your followers, I know, as well, who would agree with you, but it comes across to others as if you're just a little annoyed and really fed up and bitter.
I'm not. I don't want.
No, I know you'll say you're not, but it's coming across that way.
Yeah. So let me tell you precisely why I'm exercised. I think that over the last 30 or 40 years, we've had successive politicians who've been put on pedestals, who've promised the earth and delivered nothing. They have said what is required to be said to promote themselves into office. And the country, I believe, and I think you probably share this view, is facing multiple very serious threats, what I would call existential threats.
Yeah.
You know, and Vance absolutely summed it up brilliantly when he said the salient issue today is mass migration. We will see the end of Western civilization if we don't get a grip of that, free speech, and reinstitute democracy. So I think the time for political expediency, the time to pursue power for the sake of power, is gone. We have to take the high road, and we have to absolutely set out what it is we believe in, and then absolutely stay firm and not give up. We need to stay on the battlefield until we are either defeated or we defeat the evil that faces Western civilization.
Do you think it is more difficult to do those things once you're inside Parliament as an elected politician that it is maybe when you're in your position? Is that one of the reasons why you're doing this? Because I think you'd make a bloody good member of Parliament, and I think you need to be a member of Parliament for reform if that's what you're going to do. But
I think you're very kind. Yeah.
It seems to me that once politicians get into Parliament, and I've spoken to a few who told me this is the problem, all the rigmarole, the
trappings.
But
I don't think Nigel Farage is like that.
No, I
don't. He's a conviction He's not in it to make money now or he'll become a politician. He's in it to do. He's 60 odd. He's trying to just do something good for Britain, isn't he?
But how do we stop those boats? I mean, that's the thing. How do we stop? Because the people who support sense, if you like, and now we suddenly just become extreme right-wingers and racists.
You just have. You've asked a question.
I'm sorry about that.
To which there's a very simple answer. You know, we had no trouble stopping boats trying to cross from France into the United Kingdom 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's when we had
75 years ago, World War II.
Or even 75 years ago. But I mean, I think of Nelson.
Yeah.
You know, there were a few French ships that would have wanted to come to our shores and done damage to us. And the Spanish Armada in 1588, we managed to defeat them too. It's
Apparently
a matter of political will.
So why can't what is wrong with us? I mean, I think Europe is governed by a bunch of right-wing. Well, it's not by left-wing twits.
Left-wing.
What I'm concerned about is the awful, hateful days of the right wing. You know, the days of the National Front and the days of all of that, where you have the thick yobbos running around the streets causing all.
But it's not about right-wingery, is it, James?
No, it's about people on both sides of the extremities, on both sides, who are looking for a fight. Now, this is happening.
I'm not looking for a fight.
No, I know you're not extreme. Yeah. You're like we're all together. Yeah. We want to find a sensible solution to the problems that are affecting all of us. We're losing in this country our identity, and in countries like Germany, Spain, France, to a bit, various other European countries, the people of those countries who are now moving to the right, the politicians to the left, which is going to be a problem anyway.
Absolutely.
A lot of those people are doing that because what they are finding is that their cultures and their way of life are being taken over by people from countries that didn't share the same views.
Absolutely. And people want to, categorize culture wars as a separate thing, but culture wars the culture of a country is absolutely critical, not just for its cultural settlement, but for its legal settlement, for its economic prosperity, for the for the ability for people to move from one social strata to another. You've got to have a culture that's settled, and we are increasingly a divided country through this multiculturalism, with different silos being set up, protected status being given to minorities, the majority interest being set aside, and we've been hijacked. The central point here, which the discussion started with, how do we stop the boats? The central point here is that we've lost sight of the fact that we must protect the United Kingdom, and we are hijacked by the notion that no matter who you are, where you come from, whatever your disposition, beliefs, whether you're pro-British, anti-British, you will get the same rights, if not better rights, than people who are already in the country. Yeah. And that notion is hijacking our ability to police our borders, hijacking our ability to have a meritocratic society, hijacking our ability effectively to be a safe, prosperous, sovereign nation.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you.
But it's being driven by the elites, the corporate elites.
25,000
It is stakeholder capitalism.
Have come in here illegally in the boats. Now, I know people have come in here in lorries, people have come here legally. We are getting cities the size of Birmingham every year. We cannot carry on. But at least to actually make people feel there is something positive to go on, surely the invaders across the channel, because that's what they are. These people are paying criminals to bring them over illegally. So I have no sympathy, none. And I'm getting even less.
Well, Labour got rid of that law that says if you come here illegally, you definitely won't get citizenship. They've thrown that away, that law.
I know.
I mean, they want to flood our nation because they're part of this corporate WEF world. They don't like this country, our government.
Well, Starmer, as I've said repeatedly, and I'm sure the rest of his cabinet, are anti-British. I mean, at the moment, I'm sure you saw that he, having said he wouldn't do it, he's going to bring in freedom of movement for 18 to 30-year-olds from the EU. Now, we all know there'll be more EU nationals coming to the UK as a result of that than there will be British nationals going to the EU. But this is coming at a point in time when we are all so aware that mass migration is out of control, completely destroying our country. Ben, and yet he's about to take down even more control.
I have got to go to a break, Ben, but we'll talk more about this maybe next week or whatever. Let me just read you this before I go. This is Rachel, and she said, Ben, please sort your differences out with Nigel. You would be a superb Reform MP and a cabinet minister. Of course you would. In the first Reform government. Go out to dinner. Have a few drinks. Sort it out. We need you, Ben.
And a few
I'll leave you on that. Thank you very much indeed. Here's a break.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, your thoughts, get them in, 0344 499 1000 on that number, whether you're watching or listening to us. And also, I'm a huge fan and still am of Donald Trump. And I think he is going to bring peace to a world that is unfortunately heading to total disaster. Yeah. And I hear some of the lefty liberals going on talking complete and utter bollocks continually about, oh, we must stop this, we must stop that. I saw a couple today on another channel. They just talk rubbish. And until we understand, I am really concerned. Now, as you know, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm terminally ill. I'm not too good at the moment. I'm probably going to go about 11 o'clock tonight. And Ash, don't you cough, for goodness sake. But I would like to see peace brought to the world. I don't know how long I've got left, but I don't think I'll see next Christmas. And I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that. What I'm trying to say is there is so much unnecessary killing, so much hurt. You know, the terrorists in the Middle East sending back 2 babies that were so brutally killed must have known that the doctors, the pathologists would have found out what had happened. Yeah. There must be a way, and I think Donald Trump, who says things that suddenly make people sit up and take notice, is the way to go.
And J.D. Vance was a great speech. I've never seen an American politician get involved in our... We need them to run our politics. Yeah. That's what it showed us.
Keir Starmer obviously listens to me, and he's having a meeting with Trump later this week.
Well, apparently he's not. He wants to supply Ukraine with weapons now. He's working against Trump.
We do not have... I have relatives in the military. We don't have enough military to protect this country. Yeah. We don't have enough armaments if people were to turn on us tomorrow. Forget sending bloody money to these countries around the world that don't need it. Well, they probably do, but they shouldn't be getting ours. I mean, this money needs to be turned into defence for this nation. Yeah. And if we don't start doing that, and if when you do, stop picking your nose. What sort of moron are you?
He's a half American,
What's his name again?
Melanie.
Melanie.
What are you talking about?
You're sitting there picking your nose.
You had your thumb up your nose. It was quite clear.
Matt.
Melanie.
I'm being serious, Matt. You pick your nose again, and you know what happened last time, when it was only by begging that you got your job back.
And the other tech-ups now...
They call me a bully.
On the faders, there'll be all his bogies in the faders.
Stop showing off to the girls. They're not interested.
With your nose-picking techniques. I mean, they are impressive.
Bless him. He's not very old, but he's not been... Yeah.
Neutered.
No. Right, I've forgotten where I was now. That's put me off. Oh, good. Right. So pay attention, and you're not watching football. Sorry, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, as I was saying, we have to save this planet, and I think Donald Trump and the way Donald is going is one of the ways that we'll do it. And I'm getting sick and tired of some of these ridiculously stupid people, the young people, who burst into tears and say, "Oh, Donald Trump."
That German politician after doing J. Vance's speech, burst in. It was an embarrassment, man.
Yeah. Jeez. You know, the German people are going more and more right wing. We know what happened.
They're not
in this
near, but I don't think they're going to be Nazis.
No, I'm
but
sure
they're trying to shut them down, the left in Germany, like they do here with reform by calling them Nazis.
Yeah. And the things that some of those ridiculous people, I've blocked them all, that I've seen, have said about Nigel are just bizarre.
Well, they endanger his life, and they're never done for incitement.
No, they should be. Right, let's move on. Here's a bit of a clip. I hope you're paying attention, you lot in there, because I'm beginning to get cross.
He stopped picking his nose. So.
Yeah, better go and clean his hands as well. Yeah. This is an interview with Elon Musk about Michelle Obama. Have a look at this.
You know, South Africa had never been impressed with Obama's approach. You know, we realized we'd learned Obama's a queer married to a man who dresses as a woman. We'd all learned that. It's not common knowledge, you know, that
Michelle Obama's a man.
Of course. You don't know that?
I didn't know that, no.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joan Rivers mentioned it publicly, and she was dead 2 weeks later, by the way.
You think?
Oh, yes.
They axed her, eh?
They axed her, yeah. So that's common knowledge. You can look it up on any internet thing.
Michelle.
And yeah, Michelle Obama's a man. Obviously, you know, they've got, you know, got pictures of her in tracksuits with a 9-inch slong hanging down her leg. You know, it's a leg.
Well, I've been reassured by our producer, Chuck, who said this is a subject we should be covering and talking about.
I've seen the video.
Have you seen the video?
And it is compelling. There's definitely something big swinging down there.
Okay, I haven't seen it. Errol Musk, good evening, sir. Lovely to see your smiling face.
Oh, yes. How are you?
Good, thank you. Well, good as I can be. Tell me, do you actually really seriously believe this?
Yes, I think there's no doubt about that. I don't think it's that important anyway. I think the things that you were talking about earlier are far more important. Something I'd like to say is, you know, Ukraine, my son is busy sorting out the situation in Ukraine. Yesterday came out with a statement that Ukraine is a gigantic graft machine of a kind that the world has never seen before.
It's like the First World War, the warfare out there, isn't it?
Doing all the things you said. I just want to change the subject.
No, well, before you... Hang on, Errol. Hold on. Just before you change the subject, let me go back and clear this up. So, if you have the proof...
We can't just leave it hanging.
You can't leave it hanging, however long. Just before we go on to another subject, which I'm quite happy to do. I have no script on this. We can do what we like. You seriously believe that Michelle Obama was a man?
Yes, I think the evidence points to that all round, you know.
What is the evidence? But what is the evidence?
Well, I think you've heard various things. You know, the birth certificate states that it's a man. The mother left her belongings to a boy, a man.
Have you seen the birth certificate?
Well, you know, I mean, I've seen what other people have seen over the time. You know, I admit nobody's come to me with a particular piece of paper, but I have seen the videos.
When you said this, Errol, you must have known that it would start. You know, you must have known that this was going to start a huge furore around the world, accusing Michelle Obama of being.
Well, I mean, many people have said the same thing.
Does your son say that as well? And does he tell Trump? And does Trump agree?
I don't know what he says. I'm not sure what he has to say on the subject, but many people have said the same thing. So, you know, I was saying there on that clip that you pointed out that Joan Rivers said that, you know, to the press.
I never heard her say that, I must confess.
And then she died.
There has apparently been a Hang on, sorry, we've got a bit of a delay, Errol. It's a bit difficult. There's a delay between us. There has been a documentary made of Mrs. Macron saying that she was born a man as well, believe it or not.
And is his father.
Yes, it looks like it.
Yeah. All right, let's put that aside now. Put it aside. How do you think that Trump's new government, with your son involved, can bring peace to the world?
Well, first of all, the war in Ukraine has to be stopped. The graft has to be stopped. The 200 billion missing has to be found. Elon said yesterday that he has discovered that the circumstances in Ukraine are it's a gigantic graft machine of a kind the world has never seen before. And coming from Elon, you know, who is inclined to say things somewhat plainly and straightforwardly, you have to take his word for that. And you know, at the same time, your prime minister, as you said just now, is trying to send even more weapons. There's no doubt whatsoever that your Prime Minister Starmer is working against the national interest of the UK.
We know.
With immigrant,
we have no tanks left. We have no equipment left.
No military left. 70,000 we're down to.
Yes, he's working against the national interest. And it boggles the mind that there are people in your country, your own countrymen, who are prepared, who actually still support this man. It's too hard to believe.
We don't, but there's nothing we can do short of revolution. You have to wait 4 years for the general election.
We are not suggesting revolution.
No,
Will
I'm
you
just saying
stop
that
it?
would be the only way.
Well, human beings are capable of all forms of decisions. I mean, it doesn't, nothing's written in stone. So, the point of the matter is the man is working against your national interest. He's working against the national interest of the people of the UK.
Is this
And
going
they
to
need
affect
to
our?
realize that.
Is this going to affect our special relationship? Do you think?
With the United States, of course.
Yeah. And,
What a question.
Well, I'm just concerned because, as my friend here says, I think the vast majority of people in this country wish to keep a special relationship going with the US. We'd like to have a better relationship with Europe, but we certainly, the majority of people here, do not want to go back to what I call the European dictatorship. We don't want to be there.
But the US, I understand, it's not the people, it's the government that are actually stopping the people with the freedom of speech. So they're still on our side, the American government, not on our government side.
Yes. No, the people of the US are well on the side of the UK, obviously, if they can be. But you can't be on the side of Starmer. He's working against the national interest. He's worked against the national interest of the United States as well.
But have you heard the news today?
It's so plain.
Apple has stopped.
Just a minute.
Apple are going to stop their encryption because they tried to bring a law in. Well, they are bringing a law in to get to access to our emails and photos and everything. And Apple have said, well, we're pulling out the UK, this iCloud encryption. So this is Big Brother stuff. They literally want to get into our emails, and they're losing business. Now, Trump could put sanctions on us for that, for affecting American business by billions of dollars, which he's threatened before.
Well, I don't think they'll do that, but I think that he's trying. The need is to try and wake the people up in the UK. We all come from the UK. 70% of the US comes from the UK. We're all children of the UK. I mean, we are concerned about somebody taking the UK to pieces. It's very serious.
How do you think the meeting with Starmer and Trump will go?
Well, I can't imagine such a meeting. It's impossible.
I mean, I hope that Starmer comes away more or less saying, yes, well, we're going to be doing this with the US, we're going to be doing that. Because if he carries on the way he is at the moment, we, Britain, a small island off the European conglomerate, we are going to be in a very dangerous position.
Well, I mean, if Trump has said no more weapons to Ukraine, your Prime Minister said what you've got left, what weapons you've got left in the UK, you're going to send to the Ukraine. I mean, you have two people here that are diametrically opposed. How are they supposed to sit down and chat? I don't think that's possible.
But Britain is important for American national security. We've got a lot of air bases and we're their link to Europe. If it goes that bad, could Trump actually threaten, because it would threaten American security, could he threaten us with anything more than sanctions?
The United States is not really dependent on Britain, really. Really.
Yeah. They've got air bases here. It's our link. Their link to Europe is here.
Well, listen.
Well, even Europe today, it's not as much as what you seem to think. Nobody's indispensable. But what we do want is to be helping, and what people in the UK, the US want, and Trump wants, is to help the people of the UK. But you can't help the people of UK when you have this way out sort of crazy government that you seem to have now, who do not have the interests of the people in the UK in mind, in the things that they're doing. Quite clearly do not. When you, as James said, when you're setting up cities the size of Birmingham every so often with illegal immigrants, how on earth is a country supposed to sustain something like that?
Well, it can't.
It can't. Errol, thank you very much indeed. Give our best wishes to your son when you meet him. We will take a short break.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I've just put our movie out, by
Have
the
you?
way, at Virtual Ash.
It's a bit late.
I know, because we had processing problems
late.
at the James Way.
James, Michelle Obama has had 2 children, Ernie.
Yeah, but have you ever seen that documentary starring Arnold Schwarzenegger? And they are able to do it these days.
James, Errol must suggest that our current Prime Minister is working against the national interest. But Starmer has been in power for 8 months, and prior to that, the opposition party was in power. For the vast majority of the war, the man has an agenda, and I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Do you mean Starmer has an agenda, or
and
do
the
you
ones
mean
before.
Trump? Listen, the last government were useless.
Yeah.
The last government got rid of our version of Trump, which was
Boris.
Boris.
But Boris let in $1 million a year under his watch, so was he
Yeah.
all that?
Oh, no, I don't
What
think
were
it
they
was.
thinking of?
I think our politicians leave a lot. I can't think of any politician that I really have respect for since
Boris
Margaret
was weak.
Thatcher.
We expected a lot more of him. I'll tell you, Liz Truss, she was all right, but she
Yeah.
got stitched up. I'd like to see her back. When I see her speak, she's
right.
she's good.
James, fellas, it's true, apparently. No one has seen early pictures of their... Oh, it's all about Michelle Obama. I find that interesting and strange at the same time. Let's talk to Chris in Epsom. Chris, you're on the air.
Oh, you're from there?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi James, hi Ash. Yeah, it's Chris Daintree, Chris.
Oh, you went to school with him?
Yeah.
I was a little bit below, James. It's great to see you back on the air, mate.
And James
Thank
is
you.
here.
Thank you very much. Well, I went to Linton's Lane. You went to Daintree.
Oh,
Linton's Lane.
wrong side of the tracks.
We didn't call it Linton's Lane then, though, did we?
What was it?
We did when I first went. Then I moved to the new one, which was oh God,
Borstal.
No, that was before then.
It was always called Scrubbers Lane.
Was it really? Oh.
His mate was called
Anyway,
Dick
listen.
Pierce.
Can we
His
can we
best
just
mate.
move? Yeah, and please.
Listen, James, let me explain something, right?
Good. Go on.
I've told you before, I'm at home most of the time because I look after my mum that's got Parkinson's and dementia.
Yeah.
So I listen to Talk TV a lot, and I also do a lot of work on the computer. But I also, I'm a member of the Free Speech Union. I went to their birthday party on Wednesday night, and I went to the meeting of the Danube think tank.
I'm not being rude, Chris, but to the point, please.
Oh, okay. Ben's a great guy, speaks nicely.
To the point. Sorry, did I shout?
I think he was getting to. I think that was his point. That he likes Ben.
Yeah.
Ben speaks nicely, and he's very intelligent.
Get
but
to
he
the
sounds a
bloody
bit-
point, or we won't be carrying on.
Well, if you keep interrupting, I won't get there, will I?
Leslie in Wellingborough, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, James. Hello, Ash.
All right, man.
Yeah, okay. I've been on for quite a while because I haven't been.
You
well
won't be on
myself.
very long either. I've got another 15
Where did
minutes
you go
to
to
take
school,
calls.
Leslie?
Okay, right, okay.
Shut up, Ash.
About the Trump situation, which you've asked us to phone up about.
Get on to the point.
Yeah, okay. Well, Trump said he wants to get involved with Gaza. Now, I cannot see Israel agreeing with that. You
They
know,
will
Israel-
agree with whatever America says.
What, he
Trust
wanted
me.
to clear out
Yeah,
Gaza.
but he can't put troops in there. He can't
No.
put troops.
Why not? Why can't
Because
he?
you can't.
Well,
No,
because
Israel
will have
wouldn't
to.
want
Something will. I think what you'll find Trump will do is come to some agreement with
Who's going to stop him?
Saudi Arabia, and various other places. But you've got to remember, Donald Trump, because of his huge win in the election,
that. Yeah.
can do almost anything. And there has to be peace now brought to the Middle East. They can go on complaining about this side did that, the other side did this, but it has to stop.
Yeah. But,
And let me tell you, nobody is going to take on the Americans. Not the Chinese, not the Russians. No, I mean, the Russians have been held at bay. Excuse me, I've got
The
hiccups.
Chinese might in the future.
By, but we're not in the future. Let's talk about now.
well,
so-
the Chinese are always getting
So,
involved.
what is your point? That's the thing I want to know,
say
Leslie.
Chinese are always getting involved if Russia.
Yeah. What is
comes
your
to war,
point,
they'll
Leslie?
always be on their side.
It's not, well, yeah, but I don't think that is right. But
No,
anyway.
no.
So what is your point about the immediate future? What do you think then is going on.
Well, Ash will know, and I know that you know.
Ash
James,
won't know.
Yeah, I'll know.
Ash won't know a
he
bloody
knows
thing.
that
That's
it's a
me.
different situation in that area. It's a very, very, very dangerous area, and I don't think that America get involved in there.
What do you think America should do?
To do that.
You're talking rubbish, of course.
They've already actually been
Iran,
involved.
You're talking rubbish, mate. You be quiet.
They were involved.
You be quiet because you're too close to the situation.
I mean, you've got Iran. I mean, you're not just talking about Gaza.
Iran
right?
have been
You're talking
kept
about
quiet.
Iran.
Iraq have been kept quiet. And unfortunately, the whole world could have gone tits up, if you'll excuse the expression.
All right.
They could have gone completely the wrong way round under that cretinous moron, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, fancy having Joe Biden as the leader of the free world.
But this is all about Iran.
You know,
these are all proxy wars for Iran.
and Iran is not going to be doing anything to upset America in the near future. And I'll tell you something else. If these moronic nations do not stop with their flipping terrorist actions, when you say something they don't like, you get these idiot kids marching in these hate marches at weekends, daubing the place with graffiti about things they know nothing about.
Yeah, but the Iranian people hopefully will overthrow. They're already weakened, the IRGC, and it's not the people.
Iran was
I
had a friend who worked for the Shah of Iran. Now, a lot of people, I don't know the Shah of Iran, but
It was very westernised.
when it was very westernised, he worked on an English-speaking radio station there, and said it was a great, brilliant country. It's a long lot of 50 or 60 years ago, but
he went a bit too far, the Shah. That's all. But
But anyway, good, Leslie. Thank you for that. Let's talk to Steve, who is in Essex. Steve. Sorry, Steve. You're too stupid, Steve. No, Steve. I can't have people like you on the show. Thank you, Steve. No, I can't. No, Steve. I can't have idiots like you. I'm sick and tired. 50 years of having people keep the phone on, listening to me on the phone, listening to me on the. It just doesn't work.
You're on the phone. I phoned you up, mate. I ain't just phoned up.
I'm not your mate.
You know what I mean? It's better Ash and you.
Shut up talking to him as well. What do you want to say?
What's up, man?
Be quiet. I'm getting fed up with you.
No bollocks,
All right, bye-bye. Let's talk to Karen in Southend.
Karen.
Hello, Karen.
I'm not in Southend, I'm in Kilcreggan. But good evening,
It says
James.
Kilcreggan.
Yeah, it says Scotland, and I thought Scotland said Southend. I'm not a well
Good
person,
evening,
Karen.
James.
Hi.
I know you're not, and I'm glad to see you working, even if it's only part-time. I'm glad to see you back. And
Thank
Ash,
you, Karen.
I'm so glad that you're not on the sunbed. Oh, my goodness.
I stopped doing it because I went too dark, didn't I? Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, I told you were, like, sunbathing on Mars.
My hands match now, look. Nearly.
No, here's the thing. As I said, Ash, I am so sorry for what's happened over the last 24 hours. I know you know what I mean.
Yeah, well,
James, you have been in broadcasting for, what, over half a century?
Yep.
And the rest.
And the rest. Well, you're only a couple of years older than me. And what I've decided is all this stuff, all these fighting, it's about skin.
What?
Your little lassie. No, honestly, the wee lassie that answered the phone says, what do you want to talk about? I said skin. Right. Now, it's not about the colour of somebody's skin. You've been in broadcasting for over a half a century. You must have skin like a rhino.
He has, actually.
Oh, I see the thickness of your skin.
Exactly. I would imagine if one of those nature programs shot one of those darts into your bum, you wouldn't notice until you sat down.
It's nice of you to say so, but at this particular moment, I'm purely doing this as a bit of a. If I could.
For a friend.
No, I'm just trying to.
The skin on his head is like sandpaper. It's very.
You know, I don't know whether you can see that on the television, but I'm on these blood thinners for the.
Yes, I know.
Everything.
I can see the
And
colour
so
of your skin compared to Ash's.
My skin, unfortunately, is falling apart everywhere.
It's bruised very easily. Yeah. Because of the thinners.
You know, it's when Ash grabs me by the shoulder.
Anything to do with your age?
No, I know.
Well, it's that as well.
Karen, you don't need a thick. You don't need a thick skin. You just need to be able to talk to people and try and get to the point of what's going to make things better. And I hope things are going to be made better. I mean, Karen, thank you for your call. Things are going to be made better by people who get into positions of political power actually having some sense. Nothing is ever gained by violence. Nothing. You point to me something that has been gained by a major war. Yeah, we kept away the Nazis. That had to be done.
That's a big one. And the First World War.
Well, First World War was a complete...
nothing else.
No, the Vietnam War was a complete...
That didn't work.
No.
Afghanistan didn't work.
Exactly. War doesn't work. It is a last resort against dictators. But if people actually... And this is what worries me about new technology. The fact you can go on to your phone, your computer, however you get your information, and you can see things that are completely untrue. Everybody has got to use a bit of this now and realise that everything you see or hear isn't necessarily as it seems.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Zarina, thank you very much indeed. Very nice little message. I noticed we had some voice messages. Were any of them worth playing out or not? Only if... Why have you not? So busy picking your nose and not doing your job.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. I see everything now that's going on.
You asked me for them, James. You said, can I have some of your bogies? And you said you'd pay me good money as well, and you still haven't paid me the money for them.
He used to bring Ferrero Rocher in.
Just be quiet.
He used to bring.
I'm being absolutely serious. I will sack you. You will never appear on this show again.
You'll never work in this business
if you talk rubbish like that. Not funny. Concentrate on what you're supposed to be doing.
History in this
You can go to... I don't care. You go to HR and say you don't like being talked to like that. I don't give a monkeys. Okay, I'm in a position now where it doesn't bother me. You know, I'm not bullying you. I'm trying to save your job. I am trying to give you direction.
It's hanging on the
You
thread.
are a very talented engineer, but sometimes you listen to the wrong people.
I think you got the wrong guy.
What is it, Chuck?
You're thinking of Sam. You're thinking of Sam.
Right, let's go to Ali in... No, don't cry. It won't have any effect on me at all, you crying. Ali in Manchester.
Hello, boys. Are you okay?
Yeah, Ali, what's the point of your call? What do you want to talk about?
I want to ask if you was put in the situation of the Prime Minister, how would you go about rectifying...
I wouldn't be in the position of the Prime Minister. I am not that stupid.
I know you're not. However, if you was...
I think it's going to be very difficult. I think I'd probably
You'd stop the boat, stimulate the economy.
You're talking about how his conversation with Trump is going to go. Is that what you're talking about?
The atrocity between Israel and Hamas. How would you rectify it if you was in his position?
If I was in his position,
Starmer can't do anything.
The Prime Minister of the UK can't do anything, but has to take has to actually understand that the promotion, not the promotion, but the trying to be nice to both sides.
Yeah.
When one side are a bunch of scumbag terrorists, isn't going to work.
He hasn't come out and said anything about those coffins and a disgraceful display, and hardly any politicians have come out and said anything.
They don't know, do they?
But we need a hard politician who understands why Trump does what he does. Trump doesn't particularly mean that Zelensky is a dictator, but some of the things he's done are tantamount to dictation in a way. And yeah, sure, he can't have an election during a war, but he could be trying to keep. There are an enormous amount of people. We get points from people from the Ukraine all the time saying, not everybody in Ukraine is, we're not fans of Putin, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we're not that big a fan of Zelensky.
They've lost their professional army. They've totally been obliterated.
The media doesn't print anything like that. The mainstream media seems to me there will be no such thing as the mainstream media. The media will be and will become the place.
I guess they will just print anything that they feel that looks like news or sounds like news.
The mainstream media, look at Sky News, they're going, no one watches the BBC. They should be charged with terrorism act because of their PR.
All media will be available in the same way that we on Talk are on TV and radio. Ali, thank you for that. Julian is in London. Julian, you're on the air. Good evening.
Hello, James. Hello, Ash.
Right, man.
Julian, what do you want to talk about?
I'd like to talk about there's an MP on social media this week, and she's asking about asking people to protest against the Reform Conference, which is held in Birmingham.
Our friend Sultana.
That's it.
Well,
yeah,
she's trying to stop free speech.
Yeah,
which is usual for that lot.
And when you look at an MP, you expect them to be somebody that unites their constituents, not divide them.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I haven't spoken to her constituents. I think she's a person who is very ill-informed and obviously not bright enough to be elected. But who the problem is this country wants to solve a bit of a problem, then bring in mandatory voting.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be able to live in a country and not take part in the way that country goes.
Especially with postal votes.
Yeah.
It makes it just people gerrymander with mess about.
Because me, myself, I think Nigel Farage is doing a good job.
OK, Julian, thank you for that. Let's talk to Keith in Surrey. Keith?
Yes, hello, good evening.
Yes.
Straight to the point, James.
Good.
Got to get it off my chest. Been worried about it all day. BBC, why am I paying, along with millions of others, my hard-earned cash to subscribe via a licence fee to an organisation who I consider to be terrorist sympathisers?
I don't think we could go that far. That's
well, they have
a
been a PR.
Stupid. But the documentary they made with one of the Hamas boss's sons doing the commentary.
And the 1,500 editorial errors, Jeremy Bowen.
Has been cancelled from iPlayer today, quite rightly. And the BBC have apologised. And it seems to me that the BBC are not terrorist supporters. They think they're being impartial.
Well, a lot of them are actually. They've actually been infiltrated by people from that, like our Home Office has.
Well,
and
I
actually,
think
they played the Hezbollah leader's speech for 45 minutes.
A lot of lefties, and if we see them marching tomorrow, although apparently the weather's not going to be so good, so I don't think it'll be a very big march. And if we see them demonstrating against Nigel's trips this coming...
Well, they'll be celebrating like the Gazans were with those coffins. There'll be a big celebration about it.
Yeah,
well, Keith, I'm hoping this isn't going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there, but I think what happened, it was disgusting what happened with the coffins.
Yeah, disgusting, really disgusting. Keith, thank you very much indeed. I'm moving on, not because I am bored with you, Keith. I'm getting fed up and bored with him, that's for sure. But I do look okay, and but I'm not. And so I'm going to build myself back up gently. Hopefully I'll do a couple of hours next week. But I haven't been very well this week. Not looking for sympathy. I'm
been a great hour, though. You've been fine. You wouldn't know.
I'm inflicting myself on you. He's going to look after the programme until the end.
Now get your calls in. I'll let you make your point.
Yeah, Simon, you feel free to ring in and stay on the line. Simon, do me a favour. Stay on the line and chat to him when he comes back after the news, OK?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Simon. You all have a great weekend, and I will see you next Friday, hopefully for a little longer. But in the meantime, do have a lovely, lovely weekend and evening.
Yeah.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. James Wales, he's still there. He's at the door. I mean, he could have done a bit more, but, you know, he gets knackered. But he'll be back next week, maybe do a bit longer. But it's your calls and me. 03444991000. Give us a ring, we'll get you on. But let's start with Simon, who's reading. Simon.
Yes.
I know you're in Reading.
Yeah, you know you got it. All it's to do with really is the leadership of our country. Really, when you have someone like Starmer who's still playing the leader of the Labour Party as our Prime Minister, when all around him is burning, you would have thought that he might have actually put the country first. Could have. When the Zelensky stuff started off with Trump, he could have quite easily dodged a bullet and come out of Chagos on the argument that he could save money for the armed forces, and he's going to postpone the Chagos deal. He could have started shutting down a few DEI sort of people and save some money there. He could have cut back a bit on the net zero catastrophe and just like put it into a position where, okay, we're going to get there, but we're going to just delay it because we need the money for more important things. But all he does was play politics. He's trying to.
Well, he said a lot of things before he got in that were turned out to be just pure lies, and a lot of his cabinet seemed to be liars on their CVs. You know, calling themselves solicitors, economists of 10 years standing. I mean,
well, I mean that's another example. Leader of the country, somebody's lied about about being a solicitor, which is like a
criminal offence.
Criminal offence. The next day he should have been out of a job.
Well, he said it in front of Parliament, which, in the ministerial code you're meant to go, but ultimately the choice is Starmer's, and they don't seem to resign about anything. I mean, look at this thing that's gone quiet about his voice coach that came on, Christmas Eve. That wasn't voice coach. She's never voice coached him because you can tell. So what have they been doing?
Yeah, it's just
don't answer that.
It's just at some stage you have to, as a leader of a nation, at some stage you have to put your politics aside to actually do the best for the nation.
He doesn't care about that. He's doing the best. He's either an ideologue or, I don't know why he's doing it, but he's not doing it.
I do. It's all about, we're 4 years behind America, right? It's all about the plan. Get a load of illegal immigrants in, get them to be nationalised, then you've got the vote for ages. So
and destroy the country. I mean, the Marxist way, people say he's a Marxist, just destroy the country and then build it up again. Is that what he's doing? He seems to be destroying the country.
I think it's the Biden playbook where he's saying, right, if we get all these people in, they'll be forever thankful. They'll always vote for Labour. Therefore, we'll never lose the power. We'll always be in power.
But has Trump been voted in giving you hope? Because, DJ Vance, his speech is really, I've never seen an American politician actually lecture Europe, but of course it threatens their security. But that's a great thing, and maybe it's given us all a bit of hope, a bit of jealousy, but a bit of hope as well.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing is that if Starmer was intelligent, he would realise that it didn't work for Biden. In fact, the opposite happened. Most of the people that were coming into the country and then got citizenship started voting for Trump because they didn't want anyone else in. So if he had any nous or leadership quality, and I argue a bit with Ben Habib earlier, you do need an inspiring leader because. If, let's say, in 3 years' time, he does want to sort of use the armed forces, you need somebody really that the armed forces are going to say, yeah, we follow you. We'll follow you.
Why would you? Yeah, why would you? Thanks, Simon. Let's go to Peter in London. Pete.
Yes, good evening, Ash.
All right, man.
Yes, I'm okay, but like this war that's been raging on for the last 3 years, and at the end of the day, there's no winners in wars.
But you knew that. I mean, from the beginning, you're not going to beat Russia, are you? I mean, ultimately, if Putin loses a war, the leader of Russia would get killed. And also, it's nuclear power. He's never going to hold his hands up and go, all right, I quit. They're giving him an off-ramp, aren't they? And hopefully it will stop the killing. Russia have lost about 1 million of their own men. Ukraine have lost, women and men. Have been horrendous rapes and murders out there. They've lost their whole professional army. It's all run by conscripts. So it needs to come to an end. And Trump just starts off with a high bar, and then it's the art of the deal. You then negotiate down. It's like what he said about Gaza. We're going to turn it into the Riviera. He just starts high and then negotiates from there.
Yeah, but now my main point with Putin and what I don't understand is that it's only going to be a matter of time when Trump says to Putin, come to America.
Apparently he is going to go to America, yeah. Well, he went to Kim Jong-un's house, didn't he, in North Korea, and he didn't bring him to the States, but he went over there, and I don't think a president had ever been over there before. So, he works outside the box, doesn't he, Trump?
Yes, so, actually, I mean, I've known Trump and watched him when he was a young man. At around the age of 22 when he first came on the scene.
What, you used to watch... I remember him when he was in his 40s. What was he doing at 20... How did you watch him when he was 22? When was this, in the 70s?
Yes.
I suppose it was, yeah.
Because, Trump come on the scene as a big... building contractor.
That's right, and he was in New York. He built skyscrapers, and you have to deal with tough people. Basically, the mafia control the concrete in New York. You have to deal with a lot of nasty people. So he does know. In fact, he's probably better than a politician in how to do deals like this with. They are gangsters. Let's face it. A lot of the Putin is. I mean, maybe Zelensky is. They're oligarchs.
The English government are gangsters. They're all gangsters.
Well, I was thinking that the other day. All these Turkish barber shops and these nail shops that are all money laundering. The HMRC must know about this. but yet they're, you know, turning a blind eye because it's raising millions. And it's the same with these illegal job, you know, on the Deliveroo and the Uber, although apparently Deliveroo got rid of 100 drivers last week because there's a lot of fraud going on. But the HMRC and government are in on it. They're taking in money, aren't they? Because it's quite clear these are money laundering operations, these barber shops and American candy shops.
Absolutely. I mean, how can you have 15 grocery shops down one high street?
Yeah. I mean, nail shops, I understand, but grocery shops. Thanks, Pete. Gemma in Lichfield.
Hello.
By the way, give us a ring, 03444991000. Hi, Gemma.
Hi, you all right?
Yeah, man. What's up?
I feel like talking in that accent to you.
Yeah, man. We'll go for it. Are you all right? I haven't got an accent. I speak the Queen's English. Anyway, Gemma, what is it?
Well, I'm in the process of filling in one of these forms for the government from the DWP.
Yeah, Department of Work and Pensions.
44 pages long.
What's that for? To get what? Pension?
To get something called the Personal Independence Payment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it's 44 pages long. And
what page are you up to?
Well, I'm working on section 4, and I think there are 8 sections or something.
Yeah, and this will give you like 60 quid a week or 70 quid a week, won't it?
I think it's, I'm not quite sure of the amount. It's you know, it's all right. It's
Did
not
you hear
sniff
something?
that.
Just
me, my arthritis, me squealing with pain because I have to hold the phone with my arthritic hands.
What are you holding the phone with?
My hands, my arthritic hands.
What? Oh, right, okay. Yeah, well, that's painful.
And then I have to hold. Then in the
so
olden
this is
days,
why you
the
need the PIP, is it?
Yeah, because I've got bipolar.
Yeah.
Okay, which is under control, but they've just changed my medication. One of mine is much, much better.
But what would money do? What will money buy you?
Well, it's not. Well, money, for example, for me to buy some things to open the cans and the jars with, because at the moment I can't.
You only need a can opener. I mean, that's 20 quid.
Well, yeah, but I can't. That's what hurts. You see, the whole twisting action.
Yeah, but I mean, why would you need 70 quid or whatever it is a week?
Well, no, you wouldn't necessarily need 70 quid a week to buy a can opener, but you because you have arthritis, for example, you have to put my heaters on full. Now, some people would say that they're storage heaters and I've got black mould, so that's escaping. So I have to have it on 26. Yeah. Even though it's not 26 degrees in here, I have to leave it on that the whole time, and then that costs more on the electricity bill. And so then there are costs that come with.
We pay 5 times more than what they pay in the States, and our average wage is half. The American average wage, believe it or not, is $65,000. About £50,000 is the average wage in the States. And we were at a parity in 2007. We were actually a bit richer in what we could buy. Now we're half as rich as Americans, and yet our energy bills are 5 times the price. No wonder we're all freezing, and it's horrendous in this country. Everything's falling apart, and it's only going to get worse until this is sorted.
I agree with you entirely.
Thanks, Gemma. Right, let's talk. That's a good end. Let's talk. James in Sydney, Australia. Good day.
Good day, mate.
Good day, mate. What's up? See, I speak Australian.
Sheila.
Is this Kelly?
Oh, sorry.
I said James in Australia.
Can't hear me.
Well, you sound Australian.
Oh, good day, mate. Sorry,
you're in Pompey.
Sorry, Sheila. Let me turn you off in the background there, love.
Yeah, turn your radio.
Sorry, love. I thought I was on hold, not on.
That's all right.
Yes, it's Kelly. How you doing?
All right.
All right.
You want to talk about DJ Vance and Starmer?
No. Well, no. I want to talk about what you think they're going to say to them about the... Right, I don't know if it's people in Facebook jail or real jail, but I know people have had the police at the door, because I have for 9 years, longer. But all the people that have been censored, all the bodies that may or may not be coming back, all the Oscars that people should have, which is pretty freaking stupid and crazy, and whether people understand 1,700 deaths or illnesses from the vaccinations, and how much more is going to come out.
Well, we don't. I mean,
and how
there's a lot of.
people feel about it. I see it as a Lucy Letby situation. Yeah, everybody chatted about this woman, and then one day found out she was innocent.
Well, it hasn't been proven yet. You know, there's a lot of stuff.
Well, I know, but this has been done to many. Many people have had children taken, been sectioned, imprisoned. Look at Peter Lynch. Look what happened to Peter Lynch.
Well,
Look
you know what?
happened to
Russia put in
Hayden
300 people, I think it was last year, for stuff they wrote online. We put away 3,400, and we've got about a third of their, or a quarter of their population. I mean, we're in a lot of, that's what J.D. Vance was saying, we're in a lot worse of a situation than even the...
What truth is going to be told?
Sorry, what's what?
What truth is going to be told by all the people once they are free to say what they need to say?
Well, everything. I mean, you know, there will be freedom of speech like they have in the States.
So how is everybody going to feel on how they treated the unvaccinated now and the Holocaust? Because that's what the Holocaust was about, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated.
What do you mean, the Holocaust?
Well, they wore badges, you know, stars on whether or not they were vaccinated. They were unvaccinated.
It has nothing to do with vaccines.
Well, that I'm going to have a look, double check. But from what I'm seeing at the moment, I remember very clearly at school the teacher used to sit there and make me draw 2 triangles to draw the star. But it was a C of E school. We went to a C of E church, but the teacher, particularly Miss Tingy, used to sit there and do one star and then the reflective star. I remember it very clearly sitting there because I used to draw a very different star that looked like the NATO star, the 4, because we were taught about Mary, Joseph, Jesus and all that, weren't we, at school?
Well, no, I opted out of RE, so I should just sit there and laugh at all my mates who had to study it. And I go,
most of it in withdrawal room. Every time I grinded my T-shirt on, and history, every time I grinded my T-shirt on my jumper, you know, when it makes that really horrible noise, RE, history, I tried to stay in art. PE I tried to get out of because I got hypermobility EDS. Maths, you could get it on. Depends which school. I went to 5 high schools. Very interesting. You know,
all at the same time? Was that for the free lunches?
No, I ended getting expelled when I went into foster care, but my mum bettered herself through life and she wanted to put me through better schools.
Well, you tried a few, didn't you? Thanks, Kelly. I don't really know what that was about, but well, should we take a little break? Back in 1 minute and a half.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk 03444991000. James Wales was here, but he just spunked off. But he'll be back next week from 10 p.m, so make sure you're watching. 03444991000. It's time for the press review. But before that, I'm joined, who's going to do the paper review, by Andrew Eborn, who's just hot-footed it. Hooray!
Hurrah! Thank you. I love it. This is a live audience. This is what they do on other channels, but not as well as they do
It's filmed
here.
before a live audience. You've just come from there's a new Bergerac.
Isn't that amazing? It was a couple of days ago, but I was on the tube coming down here with the guy.
They're playing the theme. You can't hear it.
Let's hear it. Let's hear you go. Okay, can you sing?
Jim Bergerac.
Yeah.
Was Jim Bergerac there?
Well, the new one was. It's a guy,
yeah, but
brilliant
was
actor.
Jim Bergerac Senior there?
Well, there was a Damien Maloney,
Never
who you're going to hear from him all the time, who plays a brilliant Bergerac. Now, Bergerac was 34 years ago. Can you believe the last one was December 1991? They did 9 series 87 episodes.
They were going to drop it after the first series, as I recall, but then they brought... Like Fools, a lot of these series take a couple of series.
Yeah.
I think the Office was like that as well. So you've seen the premiere of it?
I've seen the premiere. It's all embargoed, so I can't possibly talk about it.
It can't be as good as John Nettle.
Oh, and it's different. Let me say it's a darker version. And I can also say, coming down here today, amazingly, on the tube, somebody said, I know you. And you know who it was? It was Damien Maloney, who's the guy who plays Bergerac. There, you come over to see. I
Jim Bergerac was on your tube.
He was on my tube. And there he is. You won't be able to see, but that's him. You sort of move in there and that sort of stuff. So amazingly, he was on the tube, so we just had a selfie together.
Does he drive an old car like the old Bergerac?
He should. I can tell you, the car is still the star of the show.
But I think John Nettle bought the car.
Ah, well, maybe.
And he moved to Jersey. Do you remember? He got Stockholm syndrome and actually moved there. And I think he thought he was Bergerac, and he'd go around solving crimes. And they go, just stop it. Your show's gone now, Jim.
What I love about Jersey, because Jersey is the other star in the show. It is such a beautiful place, and I can guarantee it's now been sponsored by Jersey itself. They've invested a fortune in the production. A lot of people will be flooding to go and see it, and I think there's a big industry in people going to see the sets of different places where movies are made. And a friend of mine does walks around London. You can see different London movies and how that's been done. There's an app as well you can do.
I love all that that's going on. I was watching a thing about the Kubrick, The Shining, and that was all. You think it was filmed in the hotel in America, and there is one exactly like that. They just built all the sets in Elstree Studios.
Oh yeah, and the joy of
Kubrick was unbelievable. Wasn't
and the joy of AI and that sort of stuff now is.
Well, you won't get the amazing detailed sets now because of AI and CGI. It's never really going to happen again.
Well, it's interesting because they've still got the venue. I went to see the Bates Motel. I drove out there in America. I got the family connection.
But the hall's exactly like that. But he didn't use that. He built it in Elstree.
But that's often the way. You get like Downton Abbey is that wonderful place down.
But he took over every studio in Elstree and had to use outbuildings for a whole year. I mean, he was obsessed. He used to do 150 takes.
Yeah.
He drove everyone mad with his precision.
And he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, the story behind these movies and which actors were originally going to be cast and so on and so forth.
Who was originally going to be?
I can't possibly comment because I don't
know. Bungoed again.
Exactly.
So you can't tell us about anything about Bergerac?
I can tell you it's brilliant.
Who's the old man in it?
But again, I can tell you there'll be a surprise because somebody who was in the very last episode is in the very first, and I'll reveal that next week when we're allowed to.
But apparently John Nettle wouldn't be in it. They asked him to come and play his granddad or something, and he said,
Would you play your granddad?
Well, it's happened before, hasn't it? Apparently Angie is coming back to EastEnders.
Yeah, well, it's the 40th. Oh, that's the other thing This has been a whole week of showbiz
was it
stuff.
2 days ago? She came back as a ghost.
It was the 40th anniversary, and I was with Nasty Nick. So Nasty
We
Nick,
had him on the show, do you remember?
Nick you would have done, yeah.
Friend of the show.
He's a great friend of the show. He's also a great singer. So a lot of these people I went to his premiere, it was 10 years ago, he reminded me of, he did something called Wild One. And he's actually got a really good voice.
I think I remember, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, it wasn't Oliver Reed did that as well.
Yeah, Oliver Reed was brilliant. My favourite Oliver Reed moment is always the one they show on those sort of clip shows, isn't it?
The Michael Aspel one. The art show.
No, but the art show.
I saw that live. I was watching that live, and he put his arm around this sort of lesbian sort of thing, and she didn't like it.
I wonder where you're going to go with that. I thought this was an editorial moment.
I think you better leave. Well, if you all agree that you think I should leave, and they went, yes, you should. And it was a live show.
It was like after hours or something like that. And what I loved about the show,
was it,
after hours, and what a great memory! Come on, how good is it? We'll do Trivial Pursuit together.
We'll
storm
Forget
it.
the papers.
Forget the papers. It's all the old news and it's all horrible. What we're talking about. So absolutely, after hours, and the great thing about it wasn't like a set time. They just ramble on forever, and it was like a conversation in a pub, rather like this.
Yeah, but not as intelligent.
Not as intelligent.
So it's the new Bergerac all about migrants coming in on rubber boats and China.
I can't.
You can't. It's in Bungo.
It's in.
Right, OK, let's go on to the papers then, and let's start with the Soaraway Sun holiday for £9.50. That can't be bad, can it?
What a bargain. But poor old Piers has got a baby reindeer stalker.
Well, you'd expect someone like him would have a few, not that it's the right thing to do, but yeah, Piers Morgan has been hounded by his own baby reindeer stalker after interviewing the Netflix show Real Life Martha. Felicity Jane Loud. Oh, she's actually TV host with a wild accusation of harassment and dishonesty in an apparent bid for a big payout. Piers, 59, said it's despicable. But now they can do, you know, Baby Reindeer too, and he can make a packet on that.
Well, he can make a packet of the baby.
Play himself like the bloke did in the first one.
There's a lot of dough in Baby Reindeer. So I thank you. No, but you work on that sort of basis. No, but stalkers are worrying. It's a horrendous thing. People get that in the public eye. I know you've got yours.
I just get a lot of hatred that comes from the same person for years, like a few of them. But I never get someone hanging out and going, well, there's been a few maybe, yeah, but not really dangerous ones. Yeah.
But you've got to be careful. And I think now the point that Piers is making is that people can accuse you of all sorts of things and demand money, and that's the point.
Yeah.
So they're looking at that sort of stuff. Fascinating case of Baby Reindeer. I've discussed it in this very studio many times. And the real Baby Reindeer was looking for millions from Netflix because it all started with the...
They did pay her out a bit though, didn't she?
And as I predicted. So what happened is they started the programme...
Because you're an intellectual property barrister.
And I'm an intellectual
If you've got any questions about that, you can... Very reasonable rates.
I know, reasonable. A bargain. But it was exactly that. The problem they made in the series is they said... a true story, as opposed to based on a true story, because some of it was made up. And that was the problem.
But they sort of knew that, and knew that because a lot of these companies factor in, we'll be sued for this many millions, but we'll make this many. It reminds me of the 1930s case with Ford.
Yes.
They put out a car and it was there was a fault with it, and they worked out, they said, well, there'll probably be 30 burn deaths and 50 burn injuries, and it'll work out at this much. So, but we'll actually make profits. So just let it go out, and there was a big court.
Well, and there's been a few of these cases with Netflix and other people, and they had things. Basically, we don't get it right in there. People are suing for defamation, and that's the issue.
But don't they factor it in? Because they must have known.
You get what's called E&O, which is errors and omissions insurance. What an educational programme this is. I love it. So the industry will have their own version of insurance. So errors and omissions insurance is exactly that. And you'll be looking at things like copyright, because people might come up with...
But wouldn't the insurance company check it? Shouldn't it be their fault?
They have loads of lawyers crawling all over it.
But they obviously didn't check it.
Well, you have to ask yourself the question. If you're going to say a true story as opposed to based on a true story, some characters are fictitious, all that sort of stuff.
You have to,
the normal sort of stuff. You have to ask yourself who let it slip and why.
Yeah. And TV star tells of woman's sick claims. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's the same story. It's the same story. It's Piers and his stalker.
The Guardian. Starmer seeks to calm Europe's row with Trump. Well, I mean, he's saying now he wants to supply weapons to Ukraine. So he's really
so
on Egypt.
Well, no, I saw the talk that Trump gave, and he's really big buddies with Putin, isn't he? Because he said he had I mean, if you listen to the language, I'm always listening to the language because that gives so much away. What he said, they said, I had a really constructive conversation with Putin on a really constructive phone call.
Good impression.
Exactly. I think I was very good. Did you like that?
Brian Badonte.
Oh, even better. But he said it wasn't so productive with Ukraine. So he didn't even mention Zelensky. He sort of, here's a country, we're talking
I mean, Starmer, he went to a sort of KGB camp in Czechoslovakia in the 80s. We all know about that, don't we? That's been looked at very, very strange. And how to make cheese fondue. Well, you just look online. You don't need to get the Guardian.
Well, you melt a bit. I love a cheese fondue. They used the wonderful Swiss things. I used to be the chair of the Montreux Comedy Festival. I
used to watch that in the 80s.
There you go. That's the one. I wasn't there then.
That was fantastic.
I wasn't
you
even
were
born.
A child.
I wasn't even born.
And revealed the stark class divide in the arts industries. Because in the old days, there used to be loads of good working class actors. Do you remember, like, what's her name? Julie Walters, and loads of the 80s, and the boys from Black. Now it's all posh boys like Benedict Cumberbund and all Eton lot.
It's gone completely the other way. Now
they're not as good.
No, the diversity in the arts has gone the other way.
They don't have white working class people anymore. The thing they were the gritty ones.
I hate prejudice, absolutely abhor prejudice. But the whole point of being an actor is that you can act. And if you're just playing yourself because that's you all the time...
By the way, there's a black woman playing Jesus. And I'm furious because it's a Jewish person, isn't it, Jesus? How dare they have a black woman playing it? It should be someone like me. All right, I'd have to lose a few pounds because Jesus was skinny. We've all seen the pictures. Anyway, look, we're going to carry on with Andrew Eborn and me on Talk. But before we go to the break, here's Mike Graham with some competition news.
Oh, I love the competition.
It's competition time, and we're giving you a chance to win a whopping £25,000. So what do you need to do to get involved? All you have to do is text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post. It's as simple as that. Once again, to get involved, just text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post.
18 plus, UK excluding NI. Enter by SMS for £2 plus one standard network charge by 11 p.m. on March the 3rd, 2025. Or send your name, email and contact number to £25,000 cash competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP to arrive by 5 p.m. on March the 6th, 2025. This is a News Broadcasting Network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Right, 03444991000. We'll be back in a minute and a half.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's the James Whale Show, starring Ash. James has just gone. But he'll be back next week. But it was a very good hour, and there's a few. We spoke to Errol Musk. Andrew Eborn's here. Have you ever met Errol Musk? Get the bingo card ready.
Thank you. Look at you taking my favourite guest ever.
I know, we're stealing your guest.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's the James Whale Show, starring Ash, but featuring Andrew Eborn. Do I get bumped up in the credits now?
Yeah, of course. Anyway, now we're going to... A Cornish hotel owner has turned down millions of pounds from the government to house hundreds of migrants in his castle. It's like Camelot. John Mappin, owner of the Camelot Castle Hotel, said he thought it was a joke when the Home Office contacted him, but rejected the offer because it would have destroyed the village. Hi, John. He's with us now.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right, man. I mean, apparently I saw another thing about you, and how many millions did they offer? Because they'll pay, money's unlimited, and they'll refurb the hotel after. It's a massive boost for hotel. We're seeing now hotel chain owners are in the rich list now. How much, if you don't mind saying, were they offering you?
Well, I've never actually said the specific figure,
yeah,
but it would work out at about double what we would have earned from the hotel on a normal.
And how much would you have earned then, so we can then work it out?
Well, I mean, it certainly some of the estimates you've read have been accurate, but in the millions. Let's put it that way.
So 3 or 4 million a year.
Well, I wouldn't say that. No, no, I wouldn't say that.
Lower,
but
lower. Like Bruce Forsyth,
not quite. You know, I'm not quite.
But you've turned it down, so you'll get half that money for the goodness of your heart, for the goodness of community. Because basically, you would have had to sack all the staff apart from 3, and it would have killed the community. Because people go to the hotel and then go out and spread their money across the community, and that's obviously what you would have lost. So you've actually done it for your town.
Well, I think it's unconscionable, really. What is occurring, and I don't really know who's pushing this agenda. I think that's what's concerning.
Yeah, we're looking at it now. We're looking at the castle. I mean, it's literally. It looks like. Is it 5-star? That I mean, it's got to be up there.
We're not actually starred, but I'd
vulgar, isn't it? Though that starring system.
I'd say it's a good 4.5. You know,
and it was 4 poster beds. I mean, it's like
4 poster beds.
I saw a place in Warwickshire where most people haven't got your, backbone or maybe pockets, and they've actually done it. You can't blame hoteliers for taking it, can you?
That's what I've said. You can't blame. Businessmen will be businessmen. I'm very infuriated about it though, because the cultural degradation. If you go onto TikTok and you sort of Google migrant hotels UK. You can actually see some of the degradation that is caused. I mean, one particular area where they did take the migrants, real estate values for local houses have dropped by up to £100,000.
Well, why would you move there? I mean, I've heard about people hanging out outside girls' schools, taking pictures, and they say, oh, well, it's the culture, we need to train them. But you don't need that. These are people who are undocumented.
Well, they are criminals, of course. They're coming in, they are breaking the law.
Yeah.
And what was most interesting when I spoke to the company that was arranging all of this is they said, well, obviously, some of these people are going to leak out into the society. What do you do about that? Do you, oh, no, he said, don't worry, you will lose one or two, but we'll replace them. So it's a sort of a constant flow of lawbreakers essentially entering the local community. Many of these people have little to no understanding of British culture whatsoever. You take a little country village like Tintagel, and you know, it probably has a population of about 1,000 to 1,500 people if you count the sort of local houses around.
Yeah.
And you have to get the idea of what it would actually do to life in Tintagel.
Well, they'd just walk around there, wasn't it? It's not like a big city, so they'd just be walking around. And who knows? They're young lads. Any young lads will be up to no good. I mean, if they were British or anybody, you get a load of 20 to 30-year-olds just hanging out. And also, they're not part of our culture, and they don't care. You know, they're not from this society, so it would be horrendous. Andrew's here. What do you guys say?
I think it's amazing. It's lovely to have you on the show, John, as well. And you yourself, you've got a wonderful, rich history with the family. Your jewellery and silver family have been serving the royal houses of England and Europe continuously since the 17th century. Is that right?
Well, since 1775, I think we got going in business, and. We were very honoured to be. We've had the royal warrants. We founded a company back then called Mappin and Webb, which of course is a
very famous
household name, really. You know, it's a tragedy to see what our leaders think is the correct policy for this country at the moment.
And it costs a fortune. I mean, it's apparently £40,000 a year for each migrant. So if 200 come in, it's like tens of millions for a year and possibly for the rest of their lives because they're not getting kicked out. We can't afford it, can we? It seems uneconomical bringing in...
Well, but and the societal cost, because it is a form of cultural degradation.
Yeah.
You know, and these people go into society. I think it's something like 350 hotels now in the UK have been surrendered to, and of course, what does it do to local businesses?
Well, it kills them off, doesn't it?
Of course it does, because I mean, our guests come down. You know, it could be, you know, somebody comes down for a couple of days. They go up into the village. They buy a coffee up there. They might buy something in the local junk shop. They might buy something. You know, we sit at the birthplace of King Arthur, so there's all sorts of souvenirs and things like that. It's many millions of pounds a year are being spent by our customers in the local community.
Why do you think they're doing it? Do you think they're just weak and don't know how to deal with it, or do you think there's nefarious reasons they're trying to bring down the culture of this country?
Well, it's very interesting that since Elon Musk has created this thing, Doge, Department of Government Efficiency in America, it's come out that millions of pounds have been paid to British institutions to push various different agendas.
That's right, yeah.
And in fact, I just put something out on Twitter asking, because this story's gotten a lot of attention, I've been asking Mr. Musk very, very politely to give our leaders here, people like Rupert Lowe, Nigel Farage, politicians that actually do want to do something about this, information specifically as who it is has been paid in British institutions and who it is here that is really pushing this agenda. Because they say, you can't blame other hoteliers. I mean, COVID completely killed the hospitality business.
Yeah.
And that's the point, isn't it? Because if you're a poor hotelier, as good as it is for the economy, and you've got empty rooms, the temptation to be paid by the government is sensible. Yeah.
The temptation was huge. I mean, we were fortunate. You can't, as I say, blame them. The temptation is huge. They were offering me a rolling contract, full occupancy, and I could get rid of the most difficult thing in the hotel business is keeping good staff.
Of course.
Okay. Of course, they don't realise that the staff that you fire are probably never going to get jobs back in the hospitality industry, because locally in Cornwall, where would they work? We are the principal employer in the village. Some of our staff have been with us for over 20 years.
Right.
But they said, oh, don't worry, we'll do Meals on Wheels and just keep 2 staff in there. I think they just needed to clean the rooms once.
Would they have kept the four-poster beds, or would they have put 4 in a room? I mean, they wouldn't have been living the luxury.
I suspect what they would have done is bunk them up.
Right.
Yeah, and got rid of the normal beds.
I doubt they would have kept. I mean, if you look at some of the rooms at Camelot, they are pretty. They are 4-poster beds.
Oh, it's glorious. Looking at the website, I mean,
it looks beautiful. I mean, there's some big groups like the Britannia Hotel. They basically have given the whole group away, and a lot of them have become billionaires, haven't they? Overnight, almost.
Well, they have, and but you see, if you really think about it as an agenda, I mean, I never really agreed with the lockdowns personally. I thought that was really a very, very stupid action on behalf of the government. Certainly the second lockdown.
It's been proven it was stupid.
The first one.
The Omicron one was ridiculous, because we knew that wasn't a dangerous one.
It was ridiculous.
I don't know why they did that.
You know, that lunatic that was advising the government. I think the government was being advised by a bunch of psychiatrists or something. I don't know what it was, but anyway, I thought it was a bad idea. But of course, that completely emasculated the hospitality business.
Yes,
it killed it. Then you come along and you say, don't worry, we've got a solution for you now. Illegal migrants, and you're going to make out like a bandit.
Do you think there's a link? Are you saying there's sort of conspiracy of this is why they did it and to lead on to this thing?
100%.
Right. So you think the COVID and shutting down everything it's a psychological operation, sort of psyops operation?
It was a psyop. No question it was a psyop. They drilled it. They knew exactly what they were going to do. Every single government was lockstep. You know, how is it that all of a sudden, the Canadians have immediately the same policy as
I know, and they're all in America. They were all in New York, weren't they? And they were just trying to destroy the pubs as well. You know, they were trying to ban smoking outdoors, and they were saying you might get arrested for talk. There's something sinister going on, isn't there?
There is something very sinister, and I think, there's that old saying, "Follow the money."
Right.
Yeah.
We need to demand, or not demand, because we just need to ask very politely if Elon Musk...
Well, it's our money, isn't it?
Well, it's our money, but I think it's also foreign money. I think it's American taxpayer money that left-wing or socialist or actually Bolshevik entities have been paying to British institutions. And powerful foreign businessmen have been paying into British institutions and basically paying people off. And I don't think journalists are actually exempt from this. I'm sorry to say.
Well, we can see with the mainstream. Well, we're not involved in it, but most of the mainstream media are, like you say, they're totally biased. Do you think it comes from the WEF? We saw people all meeting there in secret, and the leaders of that.
I wouldn't be surprised. I will tell you a very funny story. I got to know one of the stars. I won't say who, from that reality TV show. Made in Chelsea.
Oh yes, which one?
He won't.
Well, I can't tell you who, but he told me, I'm not going to tell you who because it's a bit unfair.
Yes.
But he told me that he was called up and offered a huge amount of money to push the vaccines, and all the other, the crew were offered the same money.
Right.
And he actually walked away. He didn't take it.
Influencers, we heard about influencers being paid to do this.
But some of the others apparently did, and I think this is, a lot of, you see these people on YouTube, or you see these people on
the influencers,
yeah.
But it's so important, John, isn't it? Because we need, as you say, talking about the Doge, we need to shine a spotlight on this. We need to work out who took money for what, and we're entitled to that, aren't we? Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Bingo. Elon Musk should look in, like you say, should look into the British. It'd be good if they did do that.
Well, I think he will. I think he's going to hand the blueprint to Nigel Farage and Rupert Lowe, who are currently, Reform MPs. I don't mean to be political here, but I rather like what Reform are up to.
Especially Rupert Lowe, he's really on the case with this, isn't he?
He's hardcore.
Yeah.
He's absolutely hardcore. Funnily enough, I was with him on the day that Elon started tweeting out about him. Yeah. And funnily enough, we had dinner that night. And he is absolutely on the ball, as is Nigel Farage. And they had a fantastic chat over there at Mar-a-Lago. And Trump introduced Nigel to Elon. They get on great.
Right. There was that little trouble when he sort of went against him, but that's been smoothed over, is it?
I think it has. Yeah, I think it's been smoothed over. Fun enough, Nigel Farage has been to stay at Camelot Castle.
Well, it's the sort of clientele that you want there.
I think so. I think so. I mean, listen, we like everybody. We're the table is round for a reason. We say Camelot Castle. We got our round table. The table was round for a reason. We love everybody. But I do think that there's a movement in this country. I think people are absolutely sick to death of seeing their money basically spaffed up the wall on a bunch of ridiculous wastage. And this is a prime example of it.
But we've got 4 years of this government. How is it going to change within that time?
Not necessarily. If you remember, the Wilson government fell after 2 years.
That's right. I don't remember that.
The last Wilson government. Albeit he didn't have quite the majority.
Well, that's it, though, isn't it? How did he... I don't remember. How was he out? Did he get voted?
There was an energy crisis. Yeah. There was an energy crisis.
Right, but that doesn't... There's an energy crisis now, but it's not... Nothing seems to affect Starmer at all. I mean, look at what happened with the budget. Look at everything that's going wrong. It's like water off a duck's back for him.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, what upsets me is when I see what it does to ordinary people's lives. I mean, Camelot, you know, yes, we do get some swanky guests in there, and it's all very fun when sort of somebody turns up who's sort of world famous or whatever. However, you know, Camelot is a place where you know, it's a very bellwether hotel. People take their holidays in Cornwall. These are, you know, basically what I call bog standard English holiday makers. Yeah. They're hurting.
Yeah.
They are really, really hurting. And, you know, the British, unfortunately, we do have a bit of a sort of a stiff upper lip thing going, and we're not complainers.
We don't like to cause a fuss, but then apparently, you know, when we do go, we go in a big way.
When we go big.
Yeah.
When we go big.
Well, it's the pressure cooker, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, as soon as you suppress those emotions, as soon as it gets too much,
it is building on the streets. I've noticed with some people, like especially working class blokes I've spoken to, who just coming up to me and chatting and said, "Oh, these people at this shop were so." There just feels like a lot of negative energy.
They're going to be incandescent at this story, and all praise to you, John, for standing up for it. Just to be clear, though, because I didn't hear it at the very, very beginning, what was the deal that you were offered? Because as you say, they're going to sign up for a number of years.
We were offered full occupancy.
At full rates?
At full rates.
So how much is that? We can probably work it.
Well, I don't want to put a number on it.
But it will be double what you get.
To be honest with you, I never signed the deal, and I didn't let it get so far as to we were pricing it up. But to give you an idea, it would have resulted in roughly double what we would have made, because normally, you see, when you run a hotel, the cream is when you're full.
Of course.
If you're at 50% occupancy, probably you break even, really.
But this way you get full occupancy pay. Even if you weren't full and they only had 20 migrants, you still get paid. And it all gets paid to be refurbished after.
Oh, no, even if it was empty, that you would be paying...
you get full occupancy pay.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. I suspect it's going on in most of the hotel deals.
Well, they spent 15 million on an old prison in Brighton and then found out it wasn't suitable in Sussex somewhere and found it wasn't suitable. Just spaffed the money up the wall, as you were saying.
I was just looking at your site, John. I mean, it's fantastic. South Tower Junior Suite with sea view, 240 quid a night. North Tower, 237 quid a night. Another one for 199. How many rooms do you have in total?
It's actually quite good value.
Well, it's 65 bedrooms in total.
Right, so 200 quid on average each.
Of which we I think we don't let all of them out because obviously it's our family home as well.
Is it an old stately home that's been in your family a long time?
No, I actually bought it in '99, and it was built by an Arthurian enthusiast in 1899.
Oh, wow.
So it was a Victorian, I suppose, enthusiasm, I would say. It's not really a folly because it's a serious operation. But in its day, it was one of the top tourist destinations. I mean, this is obviously 1899, is pre-EasyJet, so people weren't, jaunting off to Ibiza for their summers. But they would come to Cornwall, and all sorts of people stayed there. Priestley stayed there. Enid Blyton stayed there. In fact, some people have said that the building inspired Mallory Towers. And Churchill popped in there during the war.
I bet in the war it was an important spot because it's on the coast, isn't it? So.
Well, Elgar composed the Second Symphony there.
Did he?
At the hotel, in room 103. Ava Gardner stayed there. I mean, it's got this incredible history, which is, you see, this is also part of the psychiatric agenda.
Yes.
And I call it a
PSYOPs
operation. Is it part of the PSYOP?
Yeah.
Is to destroy our icons. We are not allowed, as English people today, to own our own icons. Everybody else's icons are absolutely marvellous. But if you start waving the wrong type of flag in the UK, apparently...
Well, the British flag is you're a racist, or if you celebrate Churchill, or, everyone is down on that. And this is all part of this psychological operation, like you say, of doing down the country.
It's an assault. It's a mental... In fact, what it really is, it's mental bullying.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but since COVID, if you walk around the streets, and I don't mean to put our country down, but I think people look a little bit beaten up in a way.
Well, it is down. You can put the country down because it's been driven into the ground, hasn't it?
You can drive a culture into apathy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why I think, I am very, very pleased with the way that Trump is dealing with things in America. And I'm very pleased to see, because it's lifting things up. It's lifting things up.
It's given us a bit of hope, especially that J.D. Vance speech the other day.
Oh, my God. Did you see that?
Yeah, phenomenal.
Fantastic. Anyway, look, we've got to go. But anyway, go and stay at Camelot Castle Hotel, because it's still a hotel.
It's brilliant. I love it.
And support him, because,
he's a hero.
He's a hero, and there's been other heroes like that, but it's great. But anyway, we're going to carry on with the papers. Andrew Eborn's with me. It's the James Wells Show, but he's left. But give us a ring, 03444 99 1000. We'll be back in just over a minute.
Across the UK. On on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yep, you heard the man. It's Talk 03444991000. James Wells Show. Andrew Eborn's here, and we're going through the papers who are Daily Star. Poodles, an apology. Earlier this week, we may have given the impression that President Donald Trump was a thin-skinned, graceless, shit crazy moronic orange poodle in thrall to mad Vlad Putin. Today, following an intervention by the Poodle Council, we are happy to make clear that poodles are in fact loyal, dependable, clever and not orange. We apologise to any poodles offended by our mischaracterization of Will Smith. So anyway, and woman who claims to be Maddie is charged with stalking.
Yes.
Maddie, she was a Polish woman, I think.
Exactly, and apparently she's got a history of pretending to be abducted children, which is extraordinary.
Yeah, it's obviously some psychological thing that's going on there. The Eye Weekend, Russian links to drone sightings over secret UK bases. MPs call for investigation. Well, they're always, flying their planes over. They've got submarines coming over, and they're obviously threatening our internet lines and our cables. Well, you must know a bit about that, being a futurologist.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now, and data's the new currency, and there's all this thing that we come on to it about Apple and so on and so forth, and how they're going to unencrypt that sort of thing. Yeah. Absolutely. There's going to be lots of these drones. People talking about unidentified objects. A friend of mine used to be at the Ministry of Defence, and his desk was to investigate the UFOs.
Oh, Nick Pope. He used to come on the Pope show all the time.
And well, he went to school with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we were school buddies. He's over in the States now. But yeah, we were school buddies.
Right,
so, no, but great guy. But exactly that sort of stuff. But now the investigation, it's all going to be these little drones which have got absolutely pinpoint precision, and you can't see the clever ones.
And they've got drones now that fly on a wire.
Yes.
So you can't be, intercepted or anything. I mean, there were all those massive drones the size of cars over America. Do you remember? And then Donald Trump said from day one, I'm going to tell you what. And then he comes out, and we all knew it. He said, we're just testing them out, the military. But why didn't they come and say that in the start?
Well, the sunlight is the best disinfectant.
It is, bingo.
Yeah, thank you. But they also have them from prisons and stuff like that. They're sending off stuff that you can pinpoint to different prisons.
It's easier in there than out here, isn't it?
Well, apart from the castle, I know we should be a migrant. What? Yeah. The guy turned down millions, literally millions.
What a crazy man!
Incredible.
He must have a few quid.
Mapping and web.
But anyway, this thing about Apple, because the government secretly asked Apple to get rid of their encryption so they can delve into, apparently, all around the world, not just British accounts. And Apple have said, well, if you're going to bring this law in, we're going to remove our end-to-end encryption. And they've actually done that now. So this is very serious. This is like Big Brother, because it means that people that they can look into. It also puts our government at risk from Russian...
And it's worse than just talking about the criminal side, because what happens, and there was the pressure put on these big platforms of actually they would find.
They tried to do it in the States, and they said if Trump wouldn't got in, they would have got it. But now Trump's in, they won't.
Well, what happens is that they've got an obligation, basically, to stop and to show the measures that they're doing to prevent these sort of things. If they don't do it, they could be fined a huge percentage of global turnover, and some of these are billions. What's happening here is that if you get rid of this level of encryption, which is what they're going to do, it means it's not just the police forces and other security forces that are going to do it. Criminal people, cyber, which is the biggest crime of all. About 40% of all crime, is the latest statistic, is cyber crime, and it's what we've got the least conviction rate. If you make it easier for the cyber criminals, which is what's going to happen, it's going to be appalling. Your data is going to get lost.
But there are other encryption services that won't be affected by this. So a lot of people I've seen online saying, well, I'm going to have to turn my... It's not Apple's fault. They're actually doing the right thing. They have to, because they're being threatened. But there are other encryption services that you can get.
Yeah, but the rules will... And it depends on where it is. So the law says each of these platforms needs to determine and to show what they're doing to prevent certain things, about crimes and so on and so forth. If they don't have proper measures in place, then they get fined.
But this is like the misinformation. They use that, or they say it's for the children. They use any excuse to get in our information, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. And as I say, data is the new currency.
It really is worrying stuff, all this going on. Starmer's High Wire Act, stand up to Trump, but keep him on side. I mean, he's sort of irrelevant, Starmer, on the world stage. We were sort of irrelevant anyway, but he's just made us look like a bunch of amateurs with
Well, you look, and we talked about this last time, you look at the inauguration speech and the whole messages of hope from Trump, and you come over here and it's Starmageddon, isn't it? As we were talking about earlier, it's a complete depression as a result of it, a charisma bypass. What you need there's some characters and so on and so forth. But Starmer's really worried because Trump's got all this popularity. The difference between how Starmer's approaching Ukraine and how Trump is approaching it is very, very telling.
It's interesting. He's really sort of having a pop at Trump, isn't he? And EU set to reject UK plan to cap youth mobility and blow for PM's Brexit reset. Well, that's a disgrace. You know, we voted for Brexit, and they've said, "Oh no, you can't have your Brexit." They're basically turning it around, and we're basically in the EU.
Yeah, he's absolutely. He's cuddling back up to the EU. He said he would. He's going to. Boris got elected on Get Brexit Done.
Yeah.
Starmer got elected on Get Brexit Undone.
But the EU don't like him.
They don't.
They're already having a go at him. He couldn't believe it, could he? We were all laughing at that. The Times on Saturday. Right, Apple. Oh, this is what we're talking about. Apple in UK privacy row. Government demand for access forces tech giant to strip data protection tool from British users. Apple has removed its top level of data security from British customers in a row with the government that may further harm relations with President Trump. Well, the other thing interesting that Trump said, now that Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, and the other one, Zuckerberg, who lucked out on a student project, suddenly invented Facebook.
Yes.
I mean, they're all. He's actually threatened that if you threaten our big American tech companies, who are their babies, basically, they will put sanctions on us because they will be affecting Apple by millions of pounds because people will cancel their iCloud and get more secure.
And what was really telling was at the inauguration, you had the three tech titans, a combined wealth of over 800 billion, front and centre.
It was incredible. And it was Elon Musk that started that. He's always the pioneer, and then Bezos and the other guy sort of, we're going to stop all this thing, and you know what I mean?
And there's no love lost between him and Mr. Altman, Sam Altman, and the whole thing there.
Didn't he play? No, that wasn't John, Nick Cotton.
Yeah, that's John Altman, but you're right. What I love is that Elon's new T-shirt says tech support, which is quite appropriate.
Did you see his chainsaw thing?
Oh, yes, I did.
Argentinian guy
extraordinary.
Gave it. Incredible stuff. People are moaning about it, go, this is terrible. No,
if you want to get ahead, have a great haircut. Malaya's got a glorious haircut.
Yeah, it was incredible. Anyway, look, we're going into the news now, but get your calls in. We're going to be taking all your calls and more papers. 0344 499 1000. This is still the James Wales show starring Ash, but he had to go home because he's wagging it. But yeah, 0344 499 1000. It's Talk. Join us in a few minutes and chat about whatever you want. Back in 1 minute.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
But he hasn't worked that hard because he's been out. He left after 11, but he'll be back next week. That's James Well. And just before we go to Mike Graham to tell us about the competition, I just want to say a big shout to Bob Randall, Mark's dad, who works here on Tech Op. He's in hospital. He's in a bit of a bad way, but this is for you, Bob. We're all thinking about you. But anyway, let's hear how you can win 25 big ones from Mike Graham. Yeah, take it away.
It's competition time, and we're giving you a chance to win a whopping £25,000. So what do you need to do to get involved? All you have to do is text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post. It's as simple as that. Once again, to get involved, just text the word prize to 83338, or you can enter by post.
18 plus, UK excluding NI. Enter by SMS for £2 plus one standard network charge by 11 p.m. on March the 3rd, 2025. Or send your name, email and contact number to £25,000 cash competition, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP, to arrive by 5 p.m. on March the 6th, 2025. This is a News Broadcasting Network promotion. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
So, yeah, 25 grand you can win. You don't even have to text. You can just send in a letter if you're tight. Anyway, let's go to Gary in West Sussex. Gaz.
Hi, Ash.
Oh, Gary.
And hi, all you guys here that are...
There's only one here. Can you see more than
I could
one?
be all of them. I could be all the other guys.
You can be more than one. What is it, Gaz? What's on your mind, man, this fine morning?
You know, this business with... teenagers and knives and stabbings and all that.
Yeah.
I think the government is like a knee-jerk reaction. I don't think that's going to necessarily make that much difference, because I think there's so many ways that somebody that's angry and wants to get their revenge on their ex-girlfriend or whatever...
What, you're saying it's easy to get a knife? Of course it's easy to get a knife, yeah. They blamed Amazon, didn't they? Ridiculous.
Pardon?
They blamed Amazon, didn't they? The government came out and gone after... They go, oh, well, we've got to stop Amazon selling it. What a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, you can just get a kitchen knife out of your kitchen, or just go to a shop and get it.
That's right. Well, even without any knives, all the teenagers these days...
A bottle, you smash a bottle, it's a knife.
Yes, a bottle, or even ricin, or there's so many ways.
Yeah.
If you really want to, and you have that kind of feelings of hatred and anger,
you can
what you
get
need
someone,
to do, you can't...
Well, it's all fake stuff, isn't it? It's like when Starmer came out, we're going to smash the gangs. We knew they haven't smashed one gang, and it wouldn't affect anything. You've got to stop the migrants at source.
It's all rhetoric, isn't it, Gary? I mean, what do you think the solution should be, Gary?
Well, I think that we need to start trying to pet people down and to make them more relaxed, because I think that people are too belligerent. Everyone is angry about everything all of the time, and I think that it should start at the very earliest point with toddlers and children going into school. Just wean them away from any anger if they detect. If teachers detect any anger.
Well, this guy in Southport, Rudy Cabana, was many times, you know, he was raised to the, Prevent, his father, you know, they knew about him and they just let it get on, didn't they?
And he even reached out himself because he had issues himself, saying that he felt that he had these urges, and nobody did anything about it. So you make a great point, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Right, John in West Lothian.
Hello, John.
Good morning to you.
Morning.
I would like to just bring up about these ridiculous woke judges that we've got.
Well, political activist judges, aren't they?
Well, they are. I mean, they're very anti-democratic. You know, where is the sovereignty of Parliament these days?
Well, Tony Blair started this when he brought in the Supreme Court, and he dismantled our sovereignty by bringing in all these quangos. One of the most important is the net zero climate control. It's just a few people who have actual interests in, like, you know, these windmill companies. They actually have interests. It's unbelievable. We've lost our democracy. I mean, we saw when Priti Patel tried to sack the head of the civil service. She couldn't. Basically, the civil service are running things, and we have lost control. It's a fake democracy. Dominic Cummings was saying it's all a charade. It's now all run from, you know, Whitehall, the civil service. What do you got to say about that?
But I think you're absolutely right, and this is the problem, isn't it? And we had the interference from some of the judges when they were called out when in Parliament. Basically, the politicians were criticising a particular judgment, and a very senior judge came out and said, well, they shouldn't be doing that. Well, of course they should. Yeah. Judges should be accountable in the same way as politicians should be accountable. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, where are our politicians with a backbone? Where are the, you know, I mean...
They're not interested in being involved. Since the EU, they've sort of not got involved, have they? We haven't really got... I mean, Reform are showing a lot of backbone.
And they've got support in Tintagel at that castle.
But do you think they're misinterpreting, willfully misinterpreting the law, like chicken nuggets? He didn't like the chicken nuggets, so a rapist can stay, you know what I mean?
And it's a bit of a nonsense. I always come out and defend the judges who follow the law. What they get given, they're giving guidelines.
But the way they interpret it... Well, chicken nuggets was never envisaged when Churchill brought in the human right. They must have the right form of chicken nuggets.
Fight them on the beaches.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That was one of his speeches that got lost in history.
But they are using... It's very dodgy. It's like really
I think where the trouble is this, Ash, and I often say this, is that what happens is that the papers, the media will pick the headlines as opposed to digging deep into the real stories. That's why they started televising the sentencing of judges. So you can have a look at that, and they're all supposed to follow a particular guideline. So you get rid of these crazy
Yeah, but that
cases.
was a load of bunkum, because they were told to plead guilty, and a lot of them, if they would have pled not guilty, they were advised, oh, you'll get found guilty. A lot of them who pled not guilty were found not guilty.
Yeah. You should never, ever,
were they in on it?
Never plead not guilty.
But why were they told by their defence lawyers?
That's so wrong. It's so wrong.
But why were they? Were they in on it as well? It seemed like they were sort of forcing them to do it.
That's a very legitimate question to them, and I would always say if somebody's not guilty, you should never plead guilty, even if it's an easier route. And a lot of people have said that. They've turned round and they're saying, I can't afford to carry on with the trial, it's going to ruin my life forever. Never, ever, ever plead guilty if you're not.
And they said, oh, don't worry, it'll be much... And then they get 3 years inside.
Well,
When rapists up north, you know, from these grooming gangs, some of them got 3 years for rape.
Yeah, it's awful.
But you know, can I just...
It's John, isn't it? John, yeah.
Sorry, can I come just back in?
Yes, go for it, John.
Because when, we're talking about
phoning, remember?
You know, lawyers and courts and things.
Yes.
But who's making all the money out of this?
The lawyers,
illegal immigrants,
me,
and you know, we'll
Andrew.
Oh, sorry, it's been turned down. You know, can't deport me. I'll do again. Who's making the money? And
I know, and they have ultimate number. You know, one after the other appeals. Sometimes 5, 6 appeals.
Yeah, it's so good. As John said in Tintagel, follow the money, and it's an important point. But lawyers generally are a good bunch of people. Where there are any wrong ones, we should call it out.
Thanks, John. Let's go to Marty in Ayrshire. Marty.
Hi, Marty.
Hi, how you doing, right?
Really good.
That's exactly what I was speaking about last week.
Yeah.
I was saying about that last week. But anyway, this week...
What's happened Tell us about what you're going to say this week.
We're talking about Trump.
Rabbit.
I think at this moment in time, right, and I do agree with loads and loads of what he's doing, but I think at the moment he's actually playing his base.
I think he's doing all right.
Do you like Trump? Are you a big supporter?
UK are kicking.
I think he is a supporter. Are you a supporter, big Trump supporter?
Yeah, I totally agree with what the economic thing, right? The government can get rid of all the waste and everything.
The Doge, Department of Government. We should have that here, and hopefully, you know, as we were talking earlier. Elon Musk is already looking at American, they were paying to British ridiculous things, you know, like fishing shrimp in Bangladesh and, you know, ladyboys in Vietnam and stuff like that, that we're giving money to.
Absolutely not.
I mean, that's a good cause, actually.
One you support, I think, isn't it?
I do, personally. I don't want to talk about it. Sorry, Marty.
I think Putin is still the dictator, and he needs to be sorted out.
Who's a dictator?
Putin.
Well,
Putin.
Yeah, I mean, he is a dictator, isn't he?
It's a word which has been bandied around, and you have, what was it, Trump was saying that Zelensky is a dictator. Who do you side with? You said Trump's very good. Do you agree with his comments on Zelensky?
No. But I think he's actually I think he's actually just steering it all up. He's steering it up. It's like...
he's bigging it up, isn't he, Zelensky? Going, we want the planes, we want the money, and he's got he's now a billionaire. You know what I mean? That says everything, doesn't it? There's a lot of people making a lot of money out of this. Sorry, what was that?
Go for it, Marty.
Where is David Lammy? Where's our foreign secretary?
He's a foreign secretary, yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, this is a guy who thought Marie Antoinette invented the X-ray and Henry VII followed Henry VIII. And that's who we've got, and he wears white trainers with his suit.
Oh, does he?
How vulgar is that, Marty? Vulgar.
But this is actually important to everybody. The Foreign Secretary, where is it?
Is it that important? Apparently he has no real say. It's all, you know, again, it's the civil service, the Foreign Office that are running things. It's all a big charade. Anyway, thanks, Marty.
Thanks, Marty. Good to hear from you.
Let's go to Lee in Manchester. All right,
Hi, Lee.
kid, all right.
Hey, all right. I'd like to talk about the cutthroat MP.
The what MP?
Cultural.
Are there any?
Ricky Jones.
What's that? Which one's that? Ricky Jones.
Ricky Jones, the one who made the cutthroat sign.
The one who what?
He made the cutthroat sign.
Oh, right. But isn't that an ongoing case still?
Yeah.
Well, we can't really talk. But what's your sort of general point on stuff like that?
I think it's really to hear that, to be honest.
Well, it wasn't tried within days, was it? That's a bit weird.
I think, as you say, there's an ongoing case.
So we can't talk about that.
As a general point, you're absolutely right. Justice is supposed to be blind. It doesn't matter who's being accused of whatever it is. The rules apply that everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But we need trust. I always say,
get
trust,
the bingo card. Coming at house.
Trust comes in on foot, but leaves on horseback. And trust in the media, trust in judiciary, trust in politicians is at an all-time low.
It's left on horseback.
The way you get it back is to make sure you get rid of the two-tier system. Is that fair?
I mean,
they deny there is one, though, don't they?
I mean, how them at Manchester Airport as well, back complete innocence. I do not know.
Well, that's also an ongoing case, so you've got to let them...
Everybody's innocent until proven guilty.
But we've seen the footage, but that's up to the court.
Yeah, of course you are, but...
Well, that was unbelievable how long it took. Never mind the actual case going on. Why it took so long is, unbelievable, isn't it?
Video evidence says a lot.
Well, I know, but we can't talk about that. But just the length of time that it took months and months, and it was only when Reform threatened to take a private prosecution that they changed the... Anyway, thanks, Lee.
Thanks, good to hear from you.
We can't really talk about those things. But anyway, Michael in Reading.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
What do you want to say, Mikey?
I was going to talk about the youth of today carrying knives and all this.
Yeah.
But there's no deterrent from not to.
No, you're right. In fact, some say I have to carry a knife in my area because if I don't, I need it for defence, which is no excuse because you're more likely to get stabbed actually carrying a knife. But
exactly.
So you think harsh sentences, Borstall's like we used to have in the old days?
Well, yeah, but what's the matter with bringing back like the birch? Give them a couple of strokes of the birch.
More than a couple, but I mean, locking them up. If you get caught with a knife, shouldn't you go straight to, maybe for?
Locking them up is like.
Ever since they got rid of corporal punishment at school, in assembly, it's gone downhill.
110%.
Should we bring back the death penalty?
For certain cases, I believe, yes.
Which cases?
Yeah, which cases?
I mean, it's been spoken about before. If a person had murdered a police officer or anyone like that.
Well, horrendous murders like this Southport guy. I mean, you see, I would bring in a new threshold in court, Andrew.
Okay.
Not beyond reasonable doubt. That would still get done for murder, but I would say there should be a new threshold of 100% proven. People like the guy Lee Rigby, who killed him. It was clear he did kill him. Yeah. People like Fred West. That obviously, then Lucy Letby wouldn't be executed because there is still a lot of doubt on that. So, do you not think that would work?
Well, you say a lot of doubt. A conviction's a conviction. I can tell you what happens, and the arguments both sides is that there are miscarriages of justice where innocent people are found guilty and they subsequently let off. The difficulty is that in a jury's mind, if you know it's the death penalty, evidence seems to suggest they are less likely to convict. The difficulty is, that's just the reality. But it was interesting.
But not the horrendous ones, like the Lee Rigby one. I'm talking about the real one where they know you did it because it's...
But that's the test anyway. The test is not we suspect.
Yeah, but beyond reasonable doubt...
It means you've got to be almost certain.
Yeah, but that would not be the death penalty in my view. Because
so what would it be? What would
it would be
then?
100% proven, such as the Lee Rigby killer, such as Fred West, such as Harold Shipman.
So you get some cases, isn't it? You'd say that about Lucy Letby and so on and so forth, which is currently being revisited.
She wouldn't be executed because they would not be 100% proven.
But the test at the moment, as I say...
Yeah, I know, well, that's what I'm saying. You've got to raise... For the death penalty, you could go to penalty for life for murder, but there's still a chance you can get out, whereas the death penalty, you'd have a new threshold, 100% proven, and you get your neck stretched. Anyway, let's talk to John.
Hello, John.
In London.
Oh, John in London.
Hello there.
Hello.
I'm just thinking about Trump.
Yes.
With this Putin.
Yeah.
He's best mate. 4 years ago, when he was in office, he was his best mate.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's with this South Africa turnout about the land where China's backing South Africa against America.
Yes.
I was wondering if Putin would stand up against the Chinese Chan, is it? What's his name?
Yeah, the Chinese
Xi Jinping,
leader.
yes.
Yeah, and suss him out about going against South Africa.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, China, it used to be Russia wore the trousers in that relationship, but now China do, really, don't they? They've got the ultimate power.
This is what they're saying.
They've got 1.3 billion people.
Huge. And you're absolutely right. Great point, John, because this is what they're saying about Trump, and the reason he's cozying up to Putin is he wants him to be a better ally than China. So together, Russia and the US against China will work on that basis.
Are you happy with that, John?
Yeah. And they've got the South Africa thing to go against China.
Well, look at South Africa. They're a sort of fallen country. The reason they took Israel to the ICC was because they got paid off by Iran. That was the only reason. And Iran needed another country. It's just a load of bungum. Anyway, thanks, John. Let's go to Colorado in the US of A and speak to Danielle. Howdy doody, Danielle.
Hello, you don't remember me. We used to speak when I was in San Francisco. I'm the firefighter.
Oh, I remember you, Danielle. Yeah, you were a British woman. I think you were in Manchester in my memory, and you moved to and became a head firefighter in San Francisco. We used to see pictures of you at your engine. Very good, nice picture.
That's right.
Where have you been? You haven't called for about a year.
I know. Well, long story short, I called for one specific reason. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah.
I ended up getting long COVID on shift and got really sick, and I had to retire.
Oh my God! Because you were quite a high up firewoman, weren't you?
No, I was a lieutenant.
Lieutenant sounds good.
It's lieutenant, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, exactly. But one has to fit in with the natives, so one says lieutenant. But we were mandated to get vaccinated, which I didn't want to do, but if we didn't, we'd lose our jobs. So I ended up having to have 3. Still got COVID after 2, and ended up really, really ill with long COVID.
Do you think it's from the vaccine rather than long COVID? Do you think you've been injured by the vaccine?
Absolutely.
So that's not long COVID, is it really? You've got actually a vaccine injury.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, considering I was super, super fit and really healthy, there's no way.
Are you actually... Because I've got a friend's wife who's just tired all the time now.
That's it. It's like ME. The fatigue, the crushing fatigue is unbelievable.
And you were a very fit person. I remember the pictures. Obviously, you're a firefighter. You've got to be able to lift a man over your shoulder. You were a very strong woman.
Well, I'm still very strong.
You worked out, didn't you? Weren't you a bodybuilder?
Not officially, no. My son would say otherwise, because I think he's scared of me.
You're a fire expert. I mean, we had these LA fires, and they said it was all because... And you're a woman firefighter. They said it was because of all these DEI hires, and they were useless. And what's your view on the LA wildfires? There was no water in the hydrants and stuff like that, and they didn't clear the brush from the forest.
Yeah, I can tell you this right now. The fire departments get told to cut back and cut back and cut back so much on their equipment. I've seen San Francisco go through that. I don't think the woman hire thing was necessarily an issue. I came into my job before any DEI, so I had to do...
Yeah, no, you weren't one of those, no.
Everything that the guys had to do. So I got a little bit twitchy about that. And I'm sure the women that are there they've earned their stripes. Like some men I know are really.
Well, not really.
rubbish
The top three people were lesbians of the fire department. Now, there's no way odds that could be correct. That's obviously DEI hires. You're not getting the best people for the job. It was LA.
We had the same situation in San Francisco.
Well, it's even worse there, isn't it?
They've just changed it. Yeah, they've just changed the management.
Yeah. But the point that you make, though, and it is an important point, they all say it should be meritocracy, and as long as somebody can do the job. Do you think, which is the key issue, do you think these DEI hires, they're employing people who can't do the job?
I think that has to be seen. Honestly, you don't know. You wouldn't know until they're actually doing the job. They're stuck in that position.
If you get
and then they have to prove themselves, and then they have to walk around with the rest of their life with that hanging over their head. And I'm so glad I don't have that.
But if you say, like, pilots have to be 50-50 split between the sexes, you scientifically won't get the best people, because obviously there's a much bigger pool of male pilots and a much smaller pool. So if you demand 50-50, you're just scientifically provable not going to get the best people.
I think it should be as with the Special Forces and Navy SEALs here. You keep standards to a certain level, and right person, right job. And if you pass it, then fine. But what I wanted to tell you, I wanted to correct you on something. Now that I'm in Denver, the Shining Hotel, which is shown in the series, which if you haven't seen, is actually really good. It's true to the book.
Yes.
Stephen King hated the movie.
I know, he made his own version, which was horrendous.
Right. Well, the hotel where he actually thought up that story, and he got snowed in. The whole story's true. He got stuck up at Estes Park. Couldn't find a place.
He didn't murder his family, did he?
No, went to this old hotel. He was the only person that they had, because they were shutting down for the season.
Yeah.
And he stayed there, and he came up with the story of The Shining that night. And you can go, and it's a haunted hotel. You can do the most amazing tours in there. You can actually stay in the room.
I've seen the actual rooms, and it is exactly like the set they built in Elstree.
I visited it. I've been.
It really looks, and what he did in Elstree Studio. Sorry?
Did you go to the set? Did you? I'm sorry. It's Richard, is it?
Andrew.
Oh, you went to the hotel?
Richard, absolutely.
Did you go to
the... I went there. Absolutely, phenomenal. It was a number of years ago.
So you went to the Estes Park.
Yes,
hotel,
whatever.
I've been to Elstree, where it was actually filmed.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, the actual hotel, it's in the most stunning place. You should look it up online. It's gorgeous. So you should. And the other one, the one that they shot it in, I believe, is in Oregon. So
they shot it in Elstree Studios. It was all the sets. It was.
But there is a real place, as they say.
Yeah, it looks exactly like the real place, but unbelievable. Anyway, thanks, Danielle. Call us again. It's been too long, and I'm sorry to see about your the vaccination problems.
Damaged awful.
We've got to take a little break, and we're back in a minute.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This.
Yeah, it's the James Wells Show, starring Ash on tour. But he's gone home, so it's me and Andrew Eborn taking
Featuring
calls.
Andrew Eborn.
Featuring Andrew Eborn. But we're going through the calls and we've got the papers. But let's look. It's that time of morning when we need to get a bit of thinking, maybe a bit of a sermon. So here is Ken in London. Hallelujah, Ken.
Welcome back,
Hallelujah.
Ken.
God bless you.
Sorry about last night. It all kicked
Ash.
off, didn't it, last night?
Oh, what happened?
Well, him and Andre had a bit of a Barney. But anyway, enough. It doesn't matter. What do you want to talk about tonight, Ken?
I would like to talk about Mr. Trump and why I support him. There's a number of reasons.
Yes.
He's a very strong advocate for free speech.
Yes.
Yeah, one.
He openly declares that Jesus Christ is the Saviour of the
Absolutely.
world.
Two.
He's the only leader in the world who openly declares that.
Well, that's the same one,
He
yeah.
believes the Bible is God's book. He opposes
sort of the same
abortion
thing.
on demand and late-term abortion. He opposes the insane, devilish wokery ideology.
Yeah.
He openly states there's only two genders, male and female,
Yeah.
the only leader in the world to state it openly.
Yeah.
He's opposed to the indoctrination of school children by immoral LGBT queer disciples. He wants to bring peace to the Middle East, to Israel and Ukraine, and he is calling for Europe to allow free speech back into the nations, back to our Christian foundations. USA and Europe is established on the biblical Christian foundations. That's why we're going down the tube. We're turned away from Jesus.
But is
and
Elon
the
Musk,
Bible.
is he, because they say the devil will come with amazing technologies that we won't believe, and this sort of fits into Elon Musk. Could he be Antichrist?
I don't think so, Ash. I don't know that. Nobody knows.
Well, you tell me I'm Antichrist.
Oh,
You
no, but
don't
that's
have...
different. That's
Yeah, I mean, I could well be. Now, what do you think about a black woman playing Jesus? Have you seen this story?
Not even that. It's not even a woman. She's a man. She's a transvestite.
No, she's not. Apparently, she's an LGBT actress. Yes, she's a woman, a black woman. But surely, they don't like it if a white person plays a black person. Jesus was Jewish. It should be played by someone like me who looks like me.
Listen, nobody can play
Cynthia
Jesus.
Erivo.
He is God manifest in the flesh, gentlemen. Andrew, what do you think about Jesus?
I think it's great.
Do you like Jesus?
I love Jesus. But I also want to ask you, Ken, because this is something that Trump claims. He claims that the day that the assassin failed in the attempt to shoot him, Donald Trump, because he looked down at the statistics, he says that was God saving him to save the world. Is that your assessment?
No, he's not saving him to save the world, but he's got a purpose for Trump. Trump is stirring up the world right now. He is showing what one man can do. He's showing the power of one man. And in 4 weeks, he's changed the whole world situation politically and even morally. Now, this is just an antitype, I believe, of the coming Antichrist. The world is going to be in total chaos and war, and the world is going to be crying out for a strong man, a savior, and then the Antichrist will come on the scene, and he'll take over the 10-kingdom revised Roman Empire. This is wonderful. It's all in the Bible, gentlemen.
Did you see the miracle today in Israel? There were 3 buses blown up, but they set the timer for 9 p.m. rather than a.m. And the people are saying it's a miracle. It's just, useless terrorists, isn't it?
Oh, we thank God for protection. God bless
But it is
Israel.
incredible, isn't it?
God bless
Israel. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Anything else? Anything you want to sing a song or anything before you go?
I'll sing a song with
quickly,
you,
please. Yes, to rouse our
spirits. This is the most
spirits.
wonderful song I love.
Yes.
It's a victory.
Away you go.
In the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus,
One of his hits.
we have the victory. Oh, in the name of Jesus, in the name of Jesus, demons will have to flee. Amen.
Thanks, Ken.
Hey, very good.
Still going. No, that's it. Thanks, Ken. Let's do the Daily Mail, right? Because we want to talk about this story.
I do.
Elton Cowell-backed campaign to protect UK talent. Still a name joined fight to stop AI giants stealing work for free, because some of these AI robots are better. I heard an Oasis track, but it was by a robot, and it was actually much better than Oasis. What's your views on this?
I'll tell you what my
You're
views.
an intellectual
I am an intellectual property lawyer, and I think it's scandalous. So what the government are proposing is this, is that the way you feed these big AI machines is they're currently scraping scraping the internet.
And they're getting more and more and more accurate.
Existing work, so existing images, existing music, and so on and so forth. All of these are normally protected by copyright, and the right money should go to the creators. What the government's proposing is that basically they won't be an exception to copyright ownership, that they can scrape all these songs and use them for these machines unless people opt out. Now, it's 126 billion industry here, of the creative industry in the UK, and people are up in arms about it.
Just the UK is 126.
Exactly, 126
So what is it
billion.
in America? What, a trillion?
It's huge. I mean, absolutely huge. They're working on that sort of basis. The reality is this. It's rather like saying to a burglar, well, help yourself to anything unless I put a sign outside saying you can't help yourself to my telly.
But won't the big stars, they'll be all right because they'll have lawyers and they'll have contracts, so even if they copy them, they'll get money, but the smaller ones will lose out.
Well, the trouble is you have to opt out as opposed to opting in. So at the moment
like
you get automatically
your
protection.
kidneys and
Exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. And so mistakes will happen. So there's a big campaign, Elton and Cowell and various others, a big campaign by the Mail. They've only got about 12 weeks. I've been speaking about this extensively, and nobody in the creative industry has turned around in supporting it. Grimes is an interesting one. It's one of Elon's wives. What she was saying, Grimes the artist, she would share the copyright.
Elon's wife?
One of his wives, yes.
Well, is he married to more than one wife?
Oh, he's
rich enough.
He's had a number of wives, and some
loads of children,
and
called
some of them his own.
squared.
Exactly. No, he's got 13. There was a revelation about that as well. But the reality is this: is that it's people who own copyright and intellectual property should be properly rewarded. What Starmer and his government are proposing is that the negative thing. It's going to give the power from the creators all the way over to the tech giants, and they would have that power. Now that's got to be wrong.
And then will it ruin entertainment?
Well, that's what they're saying. If you don't have an incentive to do it, then it could absolutely have an effect on it.
And machines, they don't have. Do you think they won't be? Do you think they'll ever be as good? You know,
they've been as good. Well, I can tell you, even a number of years ago, you might remember the Drake and the Weeknd. There was that big single which was out. I know you bought a copy.
Yeah, I got it.
But
I thought it was Charlie Drake. I was very disappointed when I got it.
But it fooled the industry. So absolutely, seeing is disbelieving. That you shouldn't trust anything. Seeing is no longer believing. It's on that sort of basis. Fake audio, visual, things like that. You have certain artists who are signed up creating copyright works which sound as good as the originals, and that's the difficulty. The trouble is we need to work out an economic way of doing it. Automatically getting people not to be able to prevent it is a problem. You have to have it the other way around. It should be an opt-in, not an opt-out.
Thanks very much for that. But look about this Macron documentary where it comes out, and it's very detailed and it's very compelling, that Macron's wife is actually his father.
Well, yes, I mean...
What are your views on that,
Well,
man?
my views is never let...
I mean, they said, watch this Twitter, look at the way she sits, and she sat down like a man. Taking it that is his father is a whole nother level.
It is a totally other, but never let the truth stand in the way of a good story. No. And I think this is one of those classic examples. And there's all sorts of things. We had all sorts of things about Michelle Obama and so on and so forth.
Well, we had Errol on earlier saying that she's a man and her name's Mike.
There you go.
And there is video of him with something swinging around there that you wouldn't expect.
And this has been looked at by so many...
Like a baby's leg it was.
I thank you. This has been looked at by so many fact-checking things. I do a series called Fake or Fact, and as you know...
I know. We did it on Christmas.
We did. It was great fun, wasn't it? And I can tell you there's a computer game coming out with
Is there?
Yes, the Andrew Eborn Fake or Fact. They're turning me into a manga character.
You're going to be an app?
Yes.
Are you going to be... Because you look a bit like Max Headroom.
I do, don't I?
You could be Max Headroom. He's brilliant. He should come out of retirement.
Oh, he should. Wouldn't he be brilliant?
Anyway, 03444991000. It's just your calls and a couple more of the papers, Telegraph, Mirror, Independent, but we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Hurrah.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. It's the James Wells Show, starring Ash, but James is gone. He'll be back next week. I'm with Andrew Eborn, futurist and barrister. We're going through the papers and taking calls, but let's go with the Daily Telegraph. PM to defy Trump with new aid for Ukraine. He's really having a go. Trump's trying to sort the peace out, and Starmer's going, gosh, send them more weapons and more of our money that we haven't got. What about this £22 billion hole? NHS hospitals unable to see trans doctors' case records. This was a thing. If you change sex, well, you can't change it, but if you went to trans as you're a doctor, that your record got wiped in a ridiculous loophole, which is almost encouraging.
So if there's been ever a complaint against you,
be wiped off.
All of that gets wiped off. Now that's got to be wrong, doesn't it?
Of course it is. I mean, it was like in the old days, people could change their name and then they couldn't get found out, which is another ridiculous loophole.
So anonymity.
Hostages abandoned by Netanyahu. This is one of the families. And Benjamin Netanyahu has been accused of abandoning a mother and her 2 young children who died in Hamas captivity in Gaza. Relatives of Shiri, Ariel and Kafir. I mean, what they did in that party.
It is absolutely appalling. There are so many questions to be asked later on, and we're going to unpack all of this, including about Netanyahu and what could and should have been done earlier. But the human tragedy on this is absolutely appalling. My heart just goes out to anybody affected.
Unbelievable. Hermes Kenya case fleeced taxpayers. The Attorney General led a case in which lawyers were accused of enriching themselves. He basically fought against our own government. The guy who's now their Lord Chancellor or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's rather like we all talk about lawyers and lawyer bashing.
I know what you're going to say. He's just representing.
Well, they are, but it's rather like taking an interviewer, a brilliant interviewer such as yourself, and blaming that interview for the guests that they have on.
Well, they do that all the time. They did that the other night when we had
But that's what happens. Lawyers will take on clients. Their job is to basically represent that client.
But there's a conflict of interest, isn't there, when there's something like Jerry Adams and things, and that's been represented by the guy who was, Lord.
But no, but you turn around. The judges are there, and the court system is there to judge them whether they're guilty or innocent. You, as the lawyer, are just there to present the best possible case. You cannot lie to the court. So if somebody tells you they're guilty and I did it, you can't say, he's innocent, whatever. But it is up to the prosecution to prove that they're guilty. And that's the thing people always sort of misunderstand, if you like, everybody's innocent till proven guilty. Everybody's entitled to a fair trial.
Right, we're just going to go through your calls now, so let's start with Alexander in Glasgow.
Hey, Alexander.
Hello, how are you doing?
Amazing,
right,
great to hear from you.
Yeah, first I'd like to say I enjoy your interviews, but to tell you the truth, see these people that fucking back Hamas and all that, it's on your show, no answer bloody questions, right? And skip round them and fucking go this PR shite, right? That really annoys me. But there's one question that in all the interviews, and I watched Piers Morgan and all, and I've watched them, and they've asked these questions, but there's one question that I'm dying for you to ask them.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, ask them, how much does Hamas take responsibility for the innocent people in Gaza being murdered?
Well, it's 100% responsibility, isn't it? Because they actually use them as protection. Plus, they started the war, and to blame Israel for it is ridiculous. They go out their way to try and prevent innocent deaths.
No, but they keep accusing Israel of genocide.
Well, it's not a genocide. I mean, Israel, the amount of killed is about one innocent person to one terrorist, which is unheard of, and it's now being studied by other militaries to see how it can be kept in urban warfare setting. The average is 9 to 1, and this is why, at the same time as they're using children and women and civilians as shields, using hospitals and tunnels all over, people coming up and shooting, and Israel is still only about 1 to 1, which is unbelievable, and why it's being studied. Colonel Richard Kemp.
The thing is here, I don't want to interrupt you, right? The thing is, he's always, the question you ask him is, do you condemn, right? Do you condemn what Hamas done?
It's all on Hamas.
Yeah, I think it's a very legitimate question, and they always say.
You ask other people, do you condemn what
they do. It's a good question. And you should ask that to both sides. Do they condemn the abhorrent treatment? Because any loss of life is abhorrent. And they always say the first casualty in war is the truth. And you're right, we've been fed so many lies in the horrible conflicts around the world. You're right to ask those questions.
But the BBC have been acting as the PR agency for Hamas. You know, when that hospital was bombed, they said 500 people were killed. It was Islamic Jihad that sent the bell, and I think it was in single figures. Jeremy Bowen reported it within 10 minutes, and then the BBC got done for it. And Jeremy Bowen said, they said to Jeremy Bowen, will you apologise? He goes, yes, we got it wrong, but I won't apologise. I mean, they looked flagrantly. I mean, I would say the BBC is institutionally anti-Semitic. You couldn't really work there. We had a Jewish sports guy who had to leave. And why would you want to pay your licence to people who are working against you and the British people?
Well, I watched the documentary, right, and I watched the full down.
Which has now been taken off after a few days of pressure. Shouldn't have never been on.
I noticed on it.
You what, sorry?
That was edited to hell because someone who was wearing shoes, he was wearing trainers, he was wearing a different length of hair.
It was a Hamas minister's son that was on it. Anyway, thanks, Alexander. Let's go to Sylvia in Yorkshire.
Hello, Sylvia. Lovely name. That was my grandmother's name. Hello.
Hello. What I want to say is, I want to talk about Donald Trump. He's come across as a creep. I thought he was a leader.
Why has he come across as a creep? Why'd you say that?
He's come across as a follower. And the person in my eyes is Zelensky is a hero that has stood up to his country. And to anybody that are listening, he is the person that needs help because of a dictator.
But why is he a billionaire, Zelensky? Why do you think he's a billionaire now?
Why? What?
Why is Zelensky a billionaire now?
I don't know whether he's a billionaire, but what I think is what the country has had to put up with, what Putin has done to them.
Yeah.
He deserves all the help that he needs.
But what's the end game, Sylvia? I mean, could you actually, what, you think Putin's going to just go, right, I surrender?
If people don't support him, what's going to happen?
Well, what's going to happen if you do support him? What, is he going to beat Russia in a war? He's lost his whole professional army. They've been destroyed, his whole professional army. Russia aren't going to just quit and go, because that'll be the end of Putin, and they're a nuclear power.
And that's the point, Sylvia, isn't it? I mean, if you have a look, what do you think, Sylvia? Because it's the thing that's troubling everybody at the moment is what is the solution? We all want peace. If anybody just focused on peace rather than just keep feeding this futile war, we'd be in a better place. What would you do to solve it?
Well, how can you solve it when you've got the dictator like Putin?
So you just keep throwing men and just keep the war going?
Anybody and enter their country.
So you would just keep the war going for years and years and years until what?
I'm thinking, I thought Donald Trump had more about him, that he was going to bring Putin to the table and sort peace out, because that is these people in Ukraine want to live in peace.
I think a lot of the people in Ukraine want peace.
I think everybody on both sides wants peace, Sylvia, and I think this is what's happened. So what Trump has said, he's had a good conversation with Putin, but not a very good conversation with Ukraine. That's how he phrased it. Didn't mention Zelensky by name. It is about the solution. I think it's very helpful, and it's great that you made the call and make those points, but we need to find a solution because war on both sides is abhorrent. How would you solve it?
Can I just have another comment, please?
Yes, of course.
I want to talk about the young lady in our armed forces that has committed suicide.
We talked about that. It's a terrible story that she was sexually assaulted and the guy wasn't even done properly and bullied, and she's ended up committing suicide. Horrendous.
But what I would say is, we've got plenty. What would that put off young girls? They want to go and have a career in the army.
Of course.
And when they see what's happening, you want to feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to think older people can abuse you or sexually abuse you.
Well, of course not.
Sorting out. They either want being put in prison, booted out of the army, because no one should live in fear.
No, you're right there. Thanks, Sylvia.
So absolutely right.
Robert in Sunderland. All right,
hi,
Bob.
Robert.
Hey, how are you, man?
All right, lad.
Hey.
All right.
Well, anyway, my predicament is
whilst in care when I was a young lad, at the bright age of 11, I was getting kicked to bits by members of staff, and I kind of get closure on it. And yet, Middlesbrough Council are running an investigation, but they still haven't gotten back to us when they originally wrote to me and told me that they're doing this investigation about the abuse, the child abuse that went on.
Well, look, Robert, this is a personal thing, so we can't really go into that. You know, we've got to talk to Middlesbrough and everything, and we can't really do that. But anyway, look, we'll be taking more calls. It's me and Andrew on the James Wales Show, and we'll be back. Call us 03. Well, we haven't got time now, so don't call us. We've got a full board. And we'll be back in a minute and a half.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's Talk, the James Wales Show starring Ash, but he's gone home. It's just me and Andrew Eborn.
Featuring Andrew Eborn now.
It's featuring Andrew Eborn, and it's just your calls now, Tilly.
Oh, good.
Let's talk to Paula in Halifax.
Hey, Paula.
Morning.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hiya, Ash. How are you doing?
All right, yeah, man. How are you? All right? How's Halifax?
Same. You know.
Is it?
Yeah,
what do you want to talk about?
On about the conversation you were having about Trump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you regret the time when you had the Trump hats on?
No, not at all. I still think he's doing a great job. You know, he's breaking a few eggs to make an omelette, and it's working.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there.
Brilliant.
I actually thought it was an absolute tosser.
Well, I even thought, I always thought he would get voted in again, and I actually agree. I think that election in, I think the 2021 was stolen.
Yeah. And I predicted it in this very studio.
I wouldn't say it was stolen.
Well, they did. They covered up the Biden. They covered up the Twitter, the Biden laptop, which was. They would have got the votes if they'd have found out about that. There really was a lot of nefarious activities with a lot of the social media.
Fair enough. I'm not going to.
And dodgy votes, postal votes.
Do you think, can I ask you a question? Do you think Trump is better this time around? What I predicted in this very studio is that the more they threw at him, the more his popularity kept on rising.
Yes, I do.
He's got much better people. He's got experts around him.
So you think he's a better president now?
Yes, I do.
Because he knows how it works. He was he wasn't and now he's a businessman. So what else you got to say about it?
I watched the news this morning.
Yes.
And it was saying that. It was saying,
what was it saying? Come on, think. I know it's late.
That blinking country, the
Ukraine.
That's it, Ukraine.
I've heard of them, yes.
It was saying Ukraine, you've got to give up so much money, you've got to give up so much.
Give us your mineral rights.
Well, the reason they're saying that is because of the hundreds of billions they've spent, including 200 billion. Isn't that fair enough for reparation? Shouldn't America get paid back for what they've paid?
I don't know. Don't start with me.
You don't know about that?
No, I've seen what they said today, that they've got loads of, whatever underneath
minerals.
the ground.
They have lots
They've
of
got
minerals.
Great minerals, and it's lithium that's the main. It's technology.
It's absolutely, and I think this is the interesting thing about Trump. He is not just making America great again. He's doing the greatest land grab in history because he wants to have Gaza Riviera, is what he was proposing. Turning on that sort of basis.
Gaza.
He wanted to take Canada. He wanted to have a bit all the minerals
Greenland.
from Ukraine, and he also wants to take Mars. Biggest land grab in history.
Thanks, Paula. Let's talk to Dean in Mansfield. Dean.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, Dean. Dean, are you there? Oh, it's Kevin in Hull. I was just... There's Dean. Oh, Kevin in Hull.
Hey, Kevin in Hull. We love Hull.
Right, well, I'm from Hull, but yeah.
House Martins, 4-0.
The House Martins, yeah.
The House Martins?
Remember, they're from Hull
and the beautiful South.
I love it.
Had a good place to be, don't believe it. Sorry, what do you want to talk about, Kev?
Well, I was going to talk. I rung in yesterday about religion, but
Ken.
When I got through, the Scottish guy was getting slated. So
Ken and Andre had a big because Ken accused Andre not knowing about religion, and that hit a nerve with Andre. And there was a big kerfuffle.
Yeah. All I was wanting to do was talk about old people driving cars. The over 70s and things like that. Some of the
danger on
Ash's age.
I can see where the politics tonight are going. I just want to put something a bit lighter on it.
Go on then. What's your view on that? Because I had someone crash into my car when she was 80 odd, and she actually wrote a letter apologising, saying, "I've got to give up driving now." So, what's your view on that, Kevin?
Well, I think basically we're all in a rush to get somewhere.
Yes.
The cars on the road are more massive than they've ever been. So my basic simpleton, because I'm just a simple person.
Well, yeah, I mean, from Hull.
You don't sound simple from Hull. Some of the most intelligent people come from Hull. Go
You've got your own telephone system.
Well, yeah, but I don't come from Hull. I come from Barrow-in-Furness, Mike Myers country.
Yes, love it.
Anyway, we can't really hear you, Kev, so let's now actually go to Dean in Mansfield. My hallucination was a premonition. Hi, Dean.
I want to hear about Barrow-in-Furness. I love it.
Apparently Dean's very inebriated. Let's find out.
Oh, hello, Dean. Hi.
Morning.
I'm just pissed off about that talk.
Yeah. What was that?
I'm not inebriated. I'm just pissed off about not being able to talk.
You don't want to hear?
No, because everybody's cut me off.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Did we cut you off?
Yes, you cut me off, mate.
When? When did we do?
You just cut me off now. It's gone by.
No, oh, you're on. How can we have cut you off if you're on?
I'm not on at all.
Oh, no, you're on now, Dean. What would you like to say, Dean?
Who's on? I mean, either you're on or...
Well, I'm not turning around and say it's... Yeah.
Am I hallucinating again?
Yeah, just cut me off. Fuck you.
Thanks, Dean. Anyway, look, let's look at the paper, the Daily Telegraph.
Yes.
Sorry about that terrible language there.
Yes.
The Daily Tipple might be the tonic for mental health. So actually, he was probably a very healthy man.
I think he'd had a few tipples.
He's overdoing it with the exercise.
Very healthy.
A very fit man. NHS hospitals and we've seen that one.
Yeah,
but let's go to the Daily Mirror. King's VE Day to remember.
Yes.
Monarch's master plan unveiled. Charles to lead commemoration because. I mean, do you think the royal family has dropped down a division since the Queen left? I mean, he wasn't going to live up to the Queen.
Nobody could live up to the Queen. What he's trying to do is what George VI did in 1945.
Oh, you remember?
I remember you were there. I saw you in the front row.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that. And it is. People love it. They put them on a little balcony, they come out and wave. And so they should do that. No, and it's absolutely right. Whilst people are still around 80 years on, we should celebrate the people who did this.
Let's do it.
And make that make sense. So it's his master plan has been unveiled. I'm going to do exactly what they did in 1945. That's the master plan.
Phil in Worthing.
Phil in Worthing. Oh, I thought said Phil in Worthing.
It's Phil Worthing.
Hello, Phil.
Phil, morning. What do you want to say?
Morning. Ash, here's an amazing link to Kevin Hull. I used to work in Barrow-in-Furness. And
did you?
Wants to hear about it.
Yeah, go on then.
Without Barrow-in-Furness, we would be attacked by the Russians and would be actually off the planet by now because that's where the nuclear submarines are made.
So what are we going to do, man?
Well, it's as simple as that. Like Kev said, we need to lighten up a bit. But the thing is, I think at the end of the day, Ash, I think Andrew's right. We need to Trump just to sort out and get people sitting down and stop the killing.
Yeah.
Just stop people killing each
Exactly,
other.
that's right. I mean, you really have just got to
My
stop the
favourite call, Andrew's right, not just at the end of the day, but the beginning as well.
Thanks, Phil. Call us early next time because we haven't got much time. But what we have got time for, I think this is going to be Graham in West London. Is this that nutter who plays music? Brilliant. Bring him on, Graham.
Here we go. Oh, James. What
are you going to play for us tonight, Graham?
Down and rush down. Oh, James, well, will it be so full? I never ever fail. Oh, James, well, when you carry on, Jim down.
It's a new jingle.
Very good, isn't it?
Well, oh, James, well.
He's playing his guitar as well, you know. He's talented. Yeah.
Prime Minister has voted. That's so hell. Oh, it's got to be James. Well, my check is for you in the mail. Oh, James, well.
A check's in the mail for James Well.
He's on time, all the British, well. Oh, James, well.
Anyway, we'll just keep that underneath us as an outro tune. Thanks for joining us tonight on the James Well Show, starring Ash. Andrew Eborn's been great. We've been through the pollen, so a bit more of this.
So you're the new James Bond.
So, yeah, join us again and keep tuned to Talk TV because throughout the night after us is going to be Marty with a Talk Sport and Talk TV simulcast. Oh, he's gone. Oh, what a shame.
We love that.
But yeah, it's been good, hasn't it? So let's just do the FT weekend.
Yes.
High standard rents.